winners and losers time, and we haven't discussed it, but are you happy to go first with your losers?
I'm happy to go first with my losers.
Well, why don't you kick it off then with your 3 losers of the weekend?
Okay, mine are very strong this week.
Are they?
Even though I say it myself, okay? Very.
Well, you say that every week.
No, they're very strong.
It's as if you have no critical faculty.
They're very strong, okay?
Yeah.
Right, my first loser, I'm afraid, has to be Rafa Benitez.
Okay.
And that is because he labelled Everton, the small club, many years ago, 9 years ago actually, after a game at Anfield. It was 0-0.
Yeah.
And when asked afterwards, he was frustrated that he dropped 2 points at home in his bid to win a Premier League title for Liverpool. And he said, well, when small clubs come here, they park the bus, Caused outrage on Merseyside, but he repeated it 4 years later. And now he's in the position where he's hugely embarrassed because though Everton will not do him a favour, he wishes Everton would do him a favour by beating Sunderland tonight to help Newcastle retain their position in the Premier League, which is looking increasingly unlikely.
Isn't that tomorrow night?
I beg your pardon, it's tomorrow night, Wednesday night.
Sorry,
No, you're right.
No, you're right.
Right, so Rafa Benitez is my first, right?
Right.
Now, my second loser is a guy called Bernard Tomic, okay?
Yeah, he's a tennis player.
This man's a tennis player. And this man was in the Madrid Masters first round match against Fabio Fognini, okay?
Was he?
He was losing heavily.
Wow. No, you were such a big tennis fan.
I am. I saw this. He was losing heavily, and when his opponent, Fognini, was serving for match point, okay? He turned his racket around and pointed the handle at the net, indicating he wasn't going to return the serve. So the serve took place anyway, and it was given.
Yeah.
And
he's got a bit of previous Tomic, hasn't he?
And he lost the match. Afterwards, when asked why did you do that, because, it ruined it as a spectacle, he said, I don't care about match points anymore. He said, would you care if you were 23 and worth over $10 million like I am? That is disgusting.
What a flonker.
Absolutely, he should be banned. He's ranked 22 in the world, and he should be banned from playing for having that attitude and saying that, okay?
All right.
Total loser. And my third loser is not even on this planet yet.
Really?
Okay?
And who's that then?
I'll tell you who that is. My third loser...
The alien?
No, my third loser is the child-to-be to Russell Brand.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? What we have discovered today is that so-called Romeo, Russell Brand, is going to be a father for the first time.
Yes.
His partner is a lady called Laura Gallagher.
But surely because he's successful, wealthy, and somebody to be admired in this country, any child of his, as far as you're concerned, would be the sort of person that you would look up to.
His partner, Laura Gallagher, is 27. She's 5 months pregnant. And Brand, who is 40, is said, I'm counting the days to the birth. I happen to believe...
Well, but he's all of the things that you say are things to be admired. He's very successful. He's very wealthy. He has the opportunity to provide a child with a perfect upbringing.
I happen to believe...
How does that make the kid a loser?
I happen to believe, excuse me, that he is a complete hypocrite. He's a champagne socialist.
Yeah, but he's wealthy and successful, so why don't you like him?
He's a ridiculously ill-informed revolutionary. He's a publicity seeker.
Right.
He's a poor actor. He's made some money of that.
He's made a lot of money.
I agree. But I think his lifestyle is despicable. He's been a mass Rogerizer, which is no way that you prepare for parenthood.
How would you know?
No matter how many years later, because I've never been a mass Rogerizer on his scale.
Yeah, but you've also never been a parent.
Exactly.
So how do you know how to prepare for it?
And in my view, any child that's going to be born to Russell Brand as a father is a very unlucky child because the man's life pattern so far has been so unstable, nobody knows what sort of firm parenthood principles he will bring to that child's life. I commend my 3 choices to the House.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, you mentioned tennis. I've also got a loser from the world of tennis.
Right.
And it's Amelie Mauresmo, who is, of course, the coach of Andy Murray, or was the coach of Andy Murray up until yesterday, when they decided to part company. The reason that she's a loser is that she was appointed as soon as Ivan Lendl left the Murray sort of tribe, as it were. And he hasn't won anything. I mean, yes, he's won 1 or 2 little tournaments, but he hasn't won any more Grand Slams.
Yes.
He won fantastically under Ivan Lendl the Olympics gold medal, and he won the US Open and Wimbledon, of course, as well.
This is all true.
And as soon as she came in, he hasn't won anything. So I think she has to be branded a loser, because Andy Murray undoubtedly is a winner.
Yes.
And he'll probably win more Grand Slams. But without her, I think that's a step in the right direction.
I'm sorry to have to point out, I was going to nominate her as well, until I found out that her percentage win rate with Murray is 79.
Doesn't matter.
And Ivan Lendl's was 75.
It doesn't matter.
So she actually won. She was a coach in charge of more winning games.
That's why statistics are wrong to quote in any situation, because you can't name one of those tournaments that he won, whereas he hasn't won a Grand Slam. So therefore, you can win small trophies. I mean, you yourself have won the Butlins Boxing Championship at the age of 6. It proves nothing at all.
Excuse me.
My second losers are the Blackpool fans, the poor Blackpool fans who've been through a terrible time in the last few years, ever since the Oyston family took over, Carl Oyston in particular. They've now been relegated down to Division 2, right, lower or faster than any other team in the history of football apart from Portsmouth, and only Portsmouth because they had so many financial problems. I mean, Blackpool don't have financial problems, but the fans have stopped going. The fans have decided that they're not going to bother now going to football matches at places like, I think, Rochdale, where they have maybe crowds of 500.
Well, why are they losers? Aren't they winners because they've stood by their club through thick and thin?
No, because they're being punished every single day of their lives by this ridiculous man, Carl Oyston, who's ruining their club, and it seems that nobody can do anything about it, which I think is the worst part of it all. And my final loser, of course, is Amir Khan, who decided that he was going to fight Canelo at the weekend. He
move
was
up
going to
2
be
grades.
It was going to be his move up 2 grades. He was going to be able to be the big I am in America. Once again, his attempt to do so has completely failed. Floyd Mayweather pretended he was going to fight him, then didn't. We spoke to Gareth A. Davis last week about this. Now that he's lost, I don't think he's going to ever make it in America. And so those are my 3. It's Amilo Maresmo, Blackpool fans, and, of course, Amir Khan, who is probably one of the biggest losers of the weekend. Let's have the winners.
Okay.
Everyone's a winner, baby. That's no lie. That's no lie. You never fail to satisfy.
So I'm going to go first with 3 winners. I have to say, Sunderland playing Everton tomorrow night, as you said. They're not safe yet. Some Sunderland fans are worried that you may have given them the old porky jinx by saying you think they're going to be. But I'm going to nominate Jermaine Defoe, who scored the winning goal against Chelsea at the weekend. Because not only did he get them a very valuable 3 points in one of the games in hand that they've got, and may have done exactly what is required for them to stay up, but he's catapulted himself back into now recognition again, possibly for the England job. And with Danny Welbeck possibly being injured, who knows if Jermaine Defoe has had the season that he's had, whether he might even go and be a great success in the Euros because he's on such good form. My second one is Luis Suarez, who, thanks to some more goals at the weekend, has now scored 56 goals in 51 games in this season for Barcelona. And it looks very much as though with only 1 game to go, they've done enough to win the La Liga title. More extraordinary is this statistic, right? 11 goals in his last 4 games. Now, I don't know of anyone who's ever scored 11 goals in 4 games anywhere, but in La Liga, which is not as easy a league as people make it out, it's quite extraordinary. And do you know, it's the same number of goals, 11, that Aston Villa scored all season.
Is that right?
And he scored 11 goals in his last 4 games. And he is now being hailed as, without question, the greatest striker currently playing in the world.
Is that right?
He's got more goals than Ronaldo. He scored more. He's got more assists than Ronaldo. I mean, the guy's just absolutely an enthralling player. And as much as some people didn't like what happened when he was here, he's one of my winners. And my final winner is obviously very, very clear, I think, the highlight of the weekend. I'm sorry that it was against Everton. Have a listen to this. Just amazing. Andrea Bocelli, or Andrea Botticelli, as you called him last week on the afternoon show.
I don't think I defy anyone
to watch that moment when Bocelli's up there with Claudio Ranieri. Italian style takes over Leicester at King Power Stadium.
Yeah.
You know, the world watches as the team that everybody, wanted to win the league actually won the league.
Yes.
And I just thought it was a brilliant moment. And for me, the moment of the season, really. Andrea Bocelli, Luis Suarez and Jermaine Defoe.
Okay, fine. Okay, I think the singer one is, I don't know. Well, okay.
Well, you have no soul, so you probably didn't get it.
Well, you
didn't enjoy that?
Yeah, it was okay, but I mean...
You thought it was okay?
But I mean, Nuss and Dormer first came to us in 1990. But anyway, look, no problem. I'll whip through mine very quickly, okay? I was going to say Jermaine Defoe, so that's fine. You've taken that. That's fair enough. You went first. My first winner is Patrick Roberts. Patrick Roberts is the young striker on loan at Celtic from Manchester City. He scored 5 goals in the last 9 games since he's been there, and he's now Celtic's third highest scorer of the season, okay?
Celtic?
Yes.
Why are you going for Scottish football?
Because this lad is English, right? He was signed by Fulham. He was bought by Manchester City for 12 million quid. Manchester City have had a dreadful season. Right. He's been trying to knock on the door of the first team. He couldn't get in. 19 years of age, went to Celtic, and he has scored 5 goals in 9 games and sealed Celtic's season for them. Okay. What was left of it, okay?
How many goals?
5 in 9.
5 in 9?
Yeah, that's every other game.
And Suarez has scored 11 in 4.
Well, I'm not talking about Suarez. I'm talking about this lad at 19 years of age.
By comparison.
No, there's no comparison. You look at the circumstances.
You're quite right. There is no comparison.
Exactly. Look at the circumstances. Now then, my second one is Nigel Clough. Nigel Clough, who was written off in previous jobs. They said he didn't have it, Nottingham Forest and all that. He has gone to Burton, got Burton promoted. It's the second team he's ever got promoted. They're into the Championship. A little team like Burton, who used to be non-league, and he managed them then when they were non-league. Burton is, of course, most famous for producing beer. It now produces great football clubs. Nigel Clough, his father, smiling down from heaven, can be proud of him, okay? And my third one... excuse me. And I think this will seal it.
You put yourself in as a winner for managing to get through this show without dying.
That's a good point. And I think this will seal it. Suran Jones, the actress who last night won the BAFTA Award for Best Actress.
Oh, yeah.
During all the Porky Vision reviews, which I did, I said consistently, in her role as Dr. Foster, she was the best actress I'd ever seen. In her role in Scott and Bailey as a police detective, she was the best actress I've ever seen. Everything I said about her has now been justified. She is the top actress in the world at the moment, having won the BAFTA Award. That, to me, shows magnificent perception for a magnificent actress. I commend my...
Perception?
Yes.
Perception by whom?
Me. And I commend my...
Perception by you?
I commend my 3 choices to the House.
Them? Commend who?
What?
What do you commend?
My 3 choices to the House.
OK.
Thank you.
Well, I don't commend mine. I recommend mine. That's winners and losers. There's an awful lot of interest in a recent poll that's been done over in the United States, which shows that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are running neck and neck in 3 key battleground states, which are supposedly the ones that you need to win if you're going to get to the White House in the November presidential election. We're talking about Florida, Ohio and Pennsylvania. And now we're going to talk to John Green. We've had him on the show before. He's editor at America Blog to find out what he makes of it all. John, very good morning to you. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. That was some pretty great intro music you got there.
Yes, indeed. It wasn't certainly. I don't really think it was aimed at you or indeed anybody else over there. But sometimes it might sum up what's going on in the presidential race. I get the feeling. Yeah, well, I mean, we've heard, of course, so much from people who don't like the idea of Donald Trump being president. That don't worry, whenever he gets the nomination for the Republican Party, he won't be able to stand toe to toe with Hillary Clinton and win. But this poll suggests otherwise, doesn't it?
So I always hesitate to read too much into one poll. If you look at the averages of all of the polls that are being released, Hillary is still 5-ish points ahead. Other polls that are coming out have her sort of, around there.
This latest one has got just about 1 point between them, and just a few weeks ago she was 13 points ahead. So he's certainly got a bit of momentum, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things you're seeing is that Republican voters, now that the Republican primary race is over, you don't have any of Ted Cruz's supporters saying that they're not going to vote for Donald Trump in the general, which you were seeing beforehand.
Right.
And that's not true on the Democratic side. Bernie Sanders is still in the race, and you still have some of Bernie Sanders' supporters saying that they won't support Hillary in November, when that's probably going to change after he eventually drops out.
So are you saying that it's still too early to tell?
Yeah, so it's a little bit early, and it's one round of polling, and it's from one polling firm. So normally when people who watch a lot of polls are trying to evaluate where the race is, they'll take, these particular polls from Quinnipiac, and they'll take that and they'll average them against what's Gallup saying and what's Reuters saying and what's public policy polling saying, because Quinnipiac could be doing something with their sample, making some assumptions about the electorate that other pollsters aren't. So one of the things about the Quinnipiac poll is that it's in its demographics, suggesting that the electorate is going to have more white voters as a percentage of everybody else than in 2012, and there's no reason to assume that that's going to be true. And if that isn't true, then Hillary's in much better shape.
John, because of the way that your electoral system is structured, electoral college, and the fact that you have to go through the independent Democratic and Republican machinery first, it's not so much later on you find out whether or not voters are switching not just candidates but actual parties. You know, how many Democrats might swing towards Donald Trump because he's such an extraordinary Republican candidate. Is there any information on what effect that's going to have at the end of the day?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things about American politics, on the one hand, like party affiliation is declining. People are less excited to say that they are a Democrat or are a Republican. The two parties are very unpopular right now. But the people who do identify with those parties are pretty stable in most states.
Exactly.
One of the big exceptions being West Virginia, which had their Democratic primary last night. And this is an interesting data point. Almost 40% of people who voted for Bernie Sanders in the Democratic primary in West Virginia said that they would vote for Donald Trump over Bernie Sanders in the general. And that has to do with West Virginia's particular history of like low party polarization, and it's a special case. But in general, Democrats vote for Democrats, Republicans vote for Republicans. Donald Trump is saying that he can peel off some Democrats. It remains to be seen if that's going to play out. I doubt it. And I also doubt that Hillary Clinton is going to be able to pull off as many Republicans who really don't like Donald Trump, which you've seen a lot of conservative thought leaders, commentators, even some elected officials saying that they can't support Donald Trump. But what we're seeing in the polling is, by and large, Republican voters, the sort of rank and file Republicans, are rallying around him.
Right. Isn't the problem though, John, that every time something comes out which suggests that Trump is kind of shall we say, reversing the trend of what the pundits are saying he's going to do, and they keep getting it wrong, and he keeps getting more and more kind of support?
Yes, this is now that we're resetting for the general, everyone's trying not to make the same mistakes they made in, commenting on the primary campaign. And one of the big one of the things people really got wrong in the primary campaign was they were looking at all of these polls saying Donald Trump is ahead, Donald Trump is ahead, Donald Trump is ahead, and they kept assuming, no, these polls are wrong. They're completely wrong, or they're definitely going, Donald Trump is going to crater, he's going to say something, people are going to stop voting for him. The Republicans are going to start attacking him, things like that. And none of that played out. So, yeah, like when a poll comes out that shows Donald Trump had, neck and neck with Hillary, you do have to take it seriously because, yeah, like you can't just assume that he's going to lose and something's going to happen and everything's going to work out okay.
Exactly. And what about any other candidates that might kind of pop up? Because, I mean, we heard, I think I mentioned this to you last time we spoke, that the Republicans might try and come up with a party candidate who would sort of split the Republican vote, and they would effectively kind of sacrifice 4 years in the White House just to stop Trump getting in. That's looking less and less likely. But isn't there an independent candidate, the governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson, throwing his hat into the ring as well?
So Gary Johnson, so the Gary Johnson's actually a good example to bring up because it's actually very hard to launch an actual independent bid at this point because the deadlines for getting on the ballots in the various states are fast approaching. So Republicans are talking about, all right, maybe we can get Rick Perry, who was the former governor of Texas, maybe we can get him to run an independent campaign. Turned out it was too late to get on the ballot in Texas, so he wouldn't have actually been able to appear. Gary Johnson is a member of a minor party. He's on the Libertarian ticket, so he's already qualified for the ballot. So if Republicans decided that they really couldn't stand Donald Trump, they could tell people to vote for Gary Johnson. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. He might get 4% instead of 2%, but it doesn't look like he's going to be there's siphon serious votes away from Donald Trump in any major way.
Right, and presumably also at this point, massive amounts of money are now swinging behind Clinton and Trump, so they will both be kind of outspending each other to the tune of billions of dollars, no doubt. And if you're an independent, it's hard getting your hands on any kind of money like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So Donald Trump's got the Republican National Committee raising money for him. He said recently he's going to reverse himself. He's going to start soliciting money for super PACs and all of the big moneyed interests. He's going to play that game, and he says he can play it very well. It remains to be seen if he can actually do the political fundraising that Hillary Clinton's been doing now for months.
Right.
But yeah, there's almost no chance for a third-party candidate to compete in any serious way.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the next big sort of milestone in either one of their campaigns, I guess, is the conventions, right?
Yeah. So those will be later in the summer. So we're sort of in this holding pattern right now, where we're waiting for the presumptive nominees, and I guess you can say Hillary Clinton's the presumptive nominee. The race isn't officially over; it's kind of over. Right. At some point, they'll roll out vice presidential picks. Clinton and Trump will start really engaging with each other more than they're going to engage with their primary opponents, things like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's the conventions are, I guess, late July, early August. Mm-hmm. Those are sort of the next big milestones of the campaign.
All right. So I'm not going to ask you to put your reputation on the line, John, but if you were asked, do you see Donald Trump now getting closer to possibly being in the White House, or do you still think that Hillary's going to do it?
If you had asked me the last time I was on, I would have said he had a 30% chance of winning. If you asked me today, I would say he has a 35% chance of winning. I still don't think he'll win, but things that have a 35% chance of happening still happen 3 out of 10 times.
That's true.
So,
maybe next time we talk to you, it'll be up to 45. You never know.
Maybe. Who knows? Well, no, I think, going back to my point earlier, American politics is relatively stable, especially the presidential level. You don't see, and this is more true in the modern era. It used to be not as much so, but people really don't often swing back and forth between parties every 4 years. So, even people who identify as independents, most of those folks will vote for the same party for president 4 out of 5 times.
Yeah, that's right. John, just very quickly, some people actually build a career on being a failed presidential nominee. Mr. Trump has already got a very lucrative career, so he could make himself doubly rich, couldn't he? Just from this political escapade.
He actually hinted before he got really serious about running. When he first started out, he sort of suggested that he actually could make money off of his bid, not just in building his brand, but off of the bid itself. Yeah. Before he started raising money in a big way from outside donations, one of the things he did was he loaned his campaign a large sum of money. He said he was self-funding his campaign. He didn't actually fund his campaign. He loaned his campaign money, which his campaign can now pay back to him, and the money is raised from people. Sure. So he may have actually turned a profit running for president and won a nomination.
That'll be a first. John, thanks very much indeed. John Green, editor at America Blog, there, saying that Trump's chances of winning have now gone up by 5%, which in his world is actually quite a lot, I'd have to say. So I think
they've actually gone up by 18% if they've gone from 30 to 35, if you see what I mean. It's gone up by a percentage of 18 to 35%. Yeah. So he's gaining ground.
Well, he is. And I think the more people keep saying it's not going to happen, the more likelihood that it will happen.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll keep tabs on it anyway.
I need to get some sleep. I can't get no sleep.
I realise this might be a little bit much for you, this sort of music.
No, that's good.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah.
Good. Now, there was a published study.
What is it?
It's something called Insomnia.
Insomnia, knew it.
Faithless.
Knew it.
You probably heard it on adverts and things and on TV shows more than you've heard it anywhere else. Yeah. But there was a study in the journal Science Advances over the weekend saying the effects of society on sleep remain largely unquantified, basically. They're saying that there is a global sleep crisis at the moment because everybody in the world is not getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
And when you look at some of the decisions that are being made in the world, you wonder whether they might actually have a point. But let's talk to our good friend Dr. Chris Winter, who is, of course, a specialist in sleep disorders and that kind of thing, in neurology. Dr. Chris, welcome back to the show. Very good morning to you.
That's great to be back on your show. How are you all doing tonight?
Yeah, we're
very
doing
well
very
indeed,
well.
Doc. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, calm down. You'll be fascinated by this, Chris, because Mr. Parry and I, as you know, work overnight on this show from
sometimes
1 till 4 in the morning. But for the last 2 weeks, we've actually been working the complete opposite end of the clock from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. Which meant that, from my point of view anyway, I actually had what you might regard as normal sleep from sort of midnight till 7 in the morning for 2 weeks. But now we're back on the night gig. What sort of effect is that going to have, not so much on me, but on my broadcasting partner, Mr. Parry?
Well, I mean, I think that the article that you're referring to is kind of touching on the idea that you guys are not alone. There are a lot of people working very unusual schedules, working longer hours, getting maybe a little bit less sleep than they used to, and the effects are not good. The World Health Organization classifies shift work as a Class 2A carcinogen. It's hard on your heart. It's hard on your endocrine system. It can lead to diabetes. It's just an unnatural situation for your body, and I would strongly suggest you figure out ways to make it easier on yourself. Easier said than done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got there in the background? You got somebody like doing some kind of scream imitation?
I'm sorry. I'm actually waiting to catch a flight to New York City.
Oh, excellent.
Well, don't sit next to that guy that made that noise, whoever he is. Now, according to this study, it's middle-aged men who get the least amount of sleep, which is less than the recommended 7 to 8 hours. Why is that?
I guess it has to do with working hours. That's sort of the time in your life, I think, probably when you're in the prime of your working years. You've probably also got a family at that time. So, dad's trying to work and also spend some time with his children and his wife as well, too. I think it's just sort of a difficult time to get the necessary sleep you need to get in and all the other things you have to fit in 24 hours. And stay up and listen to your show, of course.
Of course.
But, Doc, you're giving us, A, worst-case scenario there, and B, if you don't mind me saying, an impractical assessment of human beings' needs for sleep. I mean, these days, we have to have 24-hour systems in emergency care, in the police, in the fire services, in the military, where we've got to be alert 24 hours a day to enemy incursions. Loads of people work in industries like, for instance, you're going to New York City, where you'll find when you get there that throughout the night, big trucks are rolling into town and bringing supplies into the supermarkets, into the chain stores. I'm afraid 24-hour working is a fact of life in the modern society that we live in. And having doctors like yourselves telling people they're going to die if they don't get enough sleep is not helpful.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think what we're encountering now is a situation...
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. If you could say that again, Doc, I'd love you to.
He's at an airport, for heaven's sake. Sorry, Chris, go on.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think this is the kind of situation we've got to assess. I mean, I've heard it compared to things as varied as asbestos. Okay, now we've got all these buildings that have asbestos in them. You can't imagine us taking the asbestos out, right? Well, yes, we do. And somebody actually compared it to slavery at some point. They said, how on earth will the South exist if they don't have free labor to take care of their crops? And there was a tremendous frame shift in our country in the way it functioned when we said, look, this is not right. We can't have it. So I think what we're doing is we're getting to a place where people are recognizing exactly what you said. How can we deal with our 24-hour culture when we have all these things that we need to have happen now? It's going to require a lot of creative problem solving in the future because we know now what we're doing is a very unhealthy situation.
Yeah. Now, this may seem like perhaps a question too far in terms of what problems can be caused by this global lack of sleep. But, I mean, is it possible? I mean, we've heard, for example, that Margaret Thatcher used to survive on 3 hours sleep a night. I mean, is it possible that a lot of politicians and a lot of world leaders are making a lot of mistakes as a result of not having had enough sleep?
Well, I think it's absolutely possible. In fact, when you look at things like causes of death in the United States, I think it's the third or the fourth leading cause is medical mistakes.
Yeah.
So I think the idea that these leaders who are, forced to work these hours, and you can do it. I mean, I always told people when I worked in the hospital when I was doing my training, I survived on a very little amount of sleep. Was I the best doctor I could be at that time? Absolutely not. And I made a lot of mistakes. Unfortunately, none that actually cost somebody their life or a limb, but things that I was not particularly proud of.
And I think we'll find, Doc, won't we, if we get down to these statistics, a good percentage of automobile accidents on freeways, motorways, that sort of stuff, are down to drivers who are either inattentive through lack of sleep, or actually fall asleep at the wheel.
You bet. We see it all the time. It's one of the leading reasons why people come to our office for assistance. They knew they were sleepy in the years leading up to the accident, but it often takes them putting their car into a telephone pole or, unfortunately, somebody else's car for them to seek help.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely right. So what is the answer then? Do we introduce new rules? At the moment, there are rules in this country, certainly, as to how many hours a truck driver can drive before he has to say, right, that's it for today in a 24-hour cycle, or that's it for this week.
And it's governed by the tachometer, isn't it?
Governed by a tachometer, absolutely right. Do we have to extend that, not just to people who drive vehicles for a living, but doctors who are in charge of critical situations who need some sort of monitor on their body to tell them your energy levels are below efficiency?
Absolutely, and they already did that in the medical field in the United States. They actually, when I was a resident, enacted duty hour restrictions, but I don't think they go far enough, not only in medicine, but I think that other industries should do the same things when they're in danger of working their employees too long.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. I'm up with that.
I mean, one of the reasons this study was done was through an app, and apps have now become very much a part of everybody's life. Presumably, you could have an app which would measure the amount. I mean, as I've got on my iPhone, the amount of steps I walk every day, the amount of flights of stairs I climb. Presumably, they can measure how much sleep you've had, and if you hadn't had enough, they would say, "Well, sorry, you can't work today."
That's right. I mean, I think that the thing of it is that it would save industries money in the long run. It's just hard to put a number to figure on that when you're an employer who usually staffs 20 people for a job, and now you're being asked to basically staff 30 so that those individuals can work shorter shifts. That's a big pill to swallow with, not immediate financial returns.
Yeah, okay.
It's absolutely right.
Now, Dr. Chris, before we let you go, where are you off to? Are you going anywhere exciting?
So you're going to New York?
Heading to New York City to do some filming. Yep.
Some filming? Oh, right. Where are you staying?
Yeah. What's that?
Where are you staying?
I'm staying right in Times Square, in fact. I'll be in HBO Studios.
Very nice.
Oh, that'd be great.
And because I'm going to be on Game of Thrones, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, good man. I'm really sorry, Doctor, that my colleague asked you such a stupid question when you opened up your interviewers by saying you were at an airport flying to New York City.
I didn't hear him say he was going to New York because you're too busy shouting over me.
No, because you're a thickhead and you've got cloth ears. Because, of course, the very point of you going to New York City, Doc, is that you are going to what Frank Sinatra called the city that never sleeps.
Oh, that's a good one, that is. But I assure you I will get my sleep. In fact, I will get my sleep on the plane. I'm a master at sleeping on a plane.
Yeah, but when you get there, Doc, let me tell you, because he, my broadcasting colleague, and I collectively lived in New York for about 20 years, and there are plenty of good reasons why you don't need to sleep when you're in New York City. If I were you, I'd make up for a better sleep when you get back, but don't waste your time overnight sleeping when you're in the Apple.
That sounds good, and I'll let you know what I did when I'm there next time we talk.
Excellent.
Chris,
Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much indeed. That's Dr. Chris Winter, who's from Charlottesville, but he's going to New York.
Did you really not pick up that I
didn't hear him say it.
That the man was on his way to our favourite city?
I didn't hear him say it.
Well,
he said he was at an airport.
Weren't you listening?
I was listening.
You should listen to our guests when they're trying to tell you what the details are.
You are such a pain in the arse.
No,
tonight.
I'm not.
What is wrong with you?
No, nothing wrong with me.
Apart from giving me a cough and shouting over everybody, you're being even more objectionable than you normally are.
Don't you? I have antennae in my head which
You've got no brains in your head,
which
have you?
ping off when certain key words are spoken, or I read them, or I hear them on the news, or the radio, or television, or something like that. And one of those words is New York City.
Really?
And the minute
Well,
he
once
said
again-
that,
once
it flashed
again-
all sorts of images into my head.
Once again, we did this last week. If you'd like me to point out every time you don't hear something or you pay no attention to something that was said, I'll be very happy to do it.
Didn't you hear me say to the doc, of course, you're going to New York City
No,
where the trucks will be piling in overnight, filling up
No, I didn't.
the supermarket and chainsaws?
I didn't hear you say that.
You're living on a different planet tonight, pal.
Really?
I tell you what I think you've done? I think you've left half of whatever intelligence you had back in Cardiff City.
Really?
I'd really like to know what you got up to overnight
that's what you
after
think,
I
is it?
took to my sickbed after the show.
Yeah.
Did you get it stuck investigating the possibilities?
I wish you'd stop talking about what you really do and making up stories about me.
The possibilities of Rogerisation amongst that wedding party at the Holiday Inn.
I spent the evening...
Did you get involved?
No, I spent the evening...
Did you get involved?
I spent the evening with my daughter, talking to her. Of course, you wouldn't know about that, because you haven't got anybody to talk to.
Your daughter
That's
knows.
why you go home on your own.
Your daughter knows about your alley cat morals.
Get lost.
I am the passenger, and I ride through the city backsides. I see the stars come out of the sky.
You like that song?
It's pretty good.
The Passenger.
The Passenger,
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, yeah,
Any
like
idea who
airlines.
it's by? Yeah. Want to listen to the voice?
No, I'm just trying to work out who sung it. Sounds a bit country-ish to me.
Country-ish.
Country-ish, am I on the right track?
Well, you're in the right country, but it's not really country, if you know what I mean.
Is it the Doobie Brothers?
No.
Okay.
It's Iggy Pop.
Oh, Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
I saw a piece on him today. He's got like a really emasculated body, isn't he?
Well, he's very skinny.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That would be on account of all the speed that he took all his life.
Yeah, that's
He
right.
didn't eat for about
All the
30
drugs,
years.
Yeah. Do you know one thing I was impressed about in
I
Cardiff?
saw him in live once, actually.
Oh,
Iggy
yeah.
Pop. He was brilliant.
Where?
It was at Bath University. In fact, we booked him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was he in those days then?
What do you mean, what was he?
Well,
it was Iggy Pop and the Stooges for a while.
I was about to say, he had a band with him, did
Yeah,
he?
Iggy Pop and the Stooges.
Did he ever like
He always does. Maybe we should do a show like this.
Yeah.
He always does a show stripped to the waist, no shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I won't be doing that.
And then he was doing crowd surfing before anybody else did it.
What's that? What's that?
Well, it's when you throw yourself into the crowd, everybody just puts their hands up and you're sort of carried around.
What happens if they don't?
Well, they never don't. They always do.
I mean, you could lose all your teeth, your face, and everything.
No.
I mean, it takes a lot of people to support a body hurling itself from a height towards you.
Well, not his body. Only weighs about 2 stone.
Yeah. Now, listen, one of the things that I thought was impressive about Cardiff was the way that Uber taxis responded to our requests.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but actually it wasn't Uber.
Hey?
So we didn't use Uber.
I thought Emma got onto the phone and through Uber we got a taxi.
No, she tried that. And when we first checked it, it looked like there was one 6 minutes away.
Because the taxi that took us...
The second time she checked it, there was no cars. So I think we decided they only had about 2 cars there. So, in fact, we used a regular taxi company.
Nevertheless, but the taxi that took us to the venue from the hotel...
Yeah.
£3.70, I couldn't believe it.
£3.40.
£3.40,
Yeah.
It was incredible.
I know. I thought when he got out, and I asked him how much it was, I thought he was going to say about 10 quid. But I think that's just because of the thing.
I thought it was very mean of you to take any change out of a fiver.
I gave him a fiver.
Yeah, but you took change from
No, I didn't. I gave him coins. I gave him £5 in coins. You plank.
I'm not sure about that. Anyway, listen.
When are you going to stop telling lies?
Listen, the reason I was going to tell you about this is because you swear by Uber, don't you?
No.
I thought you did.
I never use Uber.
I thought you had an app that used
No,
Uber.
I don't use them.
Whose uses it then?
I never use Uber.
Doesn't your daughter use it, Emma?
Occasionally, yeah.
They're supposed to be very efficient.
Well, see, people who use them say they're very cheap.
Right.
We know about the arguments that people have about them.
Now, the point is that black cabs, right,
Yeah.
and traditional taxi firms
Yeah.
have been moaning on about it for ages.
Yeah.
Well, my information is, from one of the journals I've read, is that there's going to be an opposition organisation set up to counter Uber.
What do you mean?
Well, there's going to be a taxi war. I mean,
there's already a taxi war.
No, the black cabs are not an Uber, right?
No, of course not.
No. Well, there's going to be a new organisation set up which is going to include black cabs, which is going to...
Well, black cabs are always on their own. They're never going to be in association with anybody else.
No, they are. I'm telling you, I found the information.
Well, what's the information?
The information is that there's going to be a new app which is issued, right?
Yeah.
Which makes black cabs now as accessible and possibly as cheap as Uber.
But they've already got one of those. They've got an app called Halo.
Oh, well, what's that?
Yeah, which is basically the same thing, where you go... I mean, there's a couple of them. You go on... There's a black taxi app in London. It's a very London story, this, by the way, because I don't know whether they'll be able to do it
this is starting... No, this is starting where Uber started in San Francisco, right?
In San Francisco? Well, we don't live in San Francisco.
If you go...
How is this going to help us? Well, how's that going to help black cabs?
What's going to help you is because if you get an app called the Car Who...
Yeah.
Uber operates in more than 20 towns and cities in Britain.
Yeah.
Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow, Leeds, London. More than 25,000 registered drivers. Criticised for undercutting black taxis and minicabs, leading to claims that the company is expanding with no proper regulation.
Yeah.
Now, a new app, the Car Hoop, is being set up to try and counter this, OK?
Yeah. The Car Hoop.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, black cabs have got their own app in London called Halo. Which means that you can basically go onto an app and try and get the nearest taxi to come to you, right? And that's kind of how it works. This may well be new in the sense that it's now going to incorporate other, but I can't imagine that what they're describing is anything but Uber will make black cab drivers get into bed with minicab drivers, because they don't like minicab drivers either.
Well, I know that, but I think
because they're always complaining, for example, about the fact that if they see a minicab picking somebody up on the street, which has previously not been arranged,
exactly,
then that's part of the problem.
Yes, it is.
That is the difficulty. Now, I've got something far more pressing to tell you about, because I've had this NHS heart failure document sent to me by a guy called Abu, who says he's concerned about hearing you cough.
Oh, yes.
Because it basically says the symptoms of heart failure can vary from person to person. The main symptoms are breathlessness, extreme tiredness and ankle swelling, which may extend up... Now, you've told me about ankle swelling before.
Sure.
Now, it also says it's possible to have both emphysema and heart failure.
Yes.
So both can cause breathlessness and, of course, a persistent cough.
Yes.
Now, you've got a persistent cough.
That's because I've got the flu.
No, it's not. You haven't got the flu.
I have.
You've got heart failure.
Well, I've always had heart failure.
No, well, if you've got heart failure, then it must be failing worse if you've got a persistent cough.
No, it's not, because only recently...
It says you should inform your GP if you develop any new symptoms.
No, I'm on top of this because I recently saw Dr. Nicholas Banner, who's one of the world's...
Yeah, but you didn't have a cough then.
No, I didn't. No, it's true. But I've literally, I remember being on a train, I've told you this, about 10 days ago, and some filthy individual was sitting in the corner and he was literally sneezing and coughing without a handkerchief, right? Yeah. It was disgusting. Yeah. And people all around him were, arching away from him, trying to cover their faces and all that. And all I could do was turn my back and put my hands over my head and hope that none of these germs reached me. And then for about a week, they didn't, and I thought, it's fine. But then I suddenly... excuse me. No, it's true. I developed this out of the blue.
And now you're going to give it to me.
Well, I can't help that.
Well, you can.
I developed this out of the blue, and it was on. It was for the previous few days. I hadn't been on a train. Yeah. I hadn't been out in a crowd in public. I'd either travelled in my car or I'd been out in the fresh air or something like that. And that's where I got it from, and I'm afraid that's what happens in the modern world.
How about this from Glenn Arnold, who says, it was a shame Porky didn't pull a tongue muscle, as he's not telling much truth tonight.
Oh, really? Well, that's only what you say.
Nico says, what's wrong with Porky tonight? All he's done since I tuned in is show off about his expensive purchases and say bad stuff about you.
No, I'm not
that's
showing
all he ever
anything.
does.
I'm not showing him anything.
Stuart says, Porky's on the wine gums. As for probiotic food, my dad told me never to dabble with Yakult. Did you get it?
The occult.
Yeah.
Oh, quite. That's funny.
And John from Prestatin says, good grief, it sounds like the Benylin is well and truly worn off.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know about that.
Well.
Listen, all those bottles of wine that you were drinking over the weekend, right, would you pay £250.80 for a bottle of beer?
What?
Britain's priciest pint.
No.
Vintage wines have long been an investment. We all knew that, right?
Yeah, but I don't invest in wine. I drink
For wealthy connoisseurs, you do. Now,
no, I don't invest in it.
Now, there's a £250.80 bottle of beer. It's the priciest pint. It's produced by Fuller's. It's called the 1997 Vintage Ale, and it can be bought online or at Fuller's pubs.
I wouldn't drink any beer that Fuller's made, even if it was 250 quid.
You won't believe the percent. You know, what's the percentage of beer we normally drink? 4.1, 4.2?
Yeah, between 3.5 and 5, usually, isn't it?
Right. right, this is... I'm not sure what this story's about. It says the beer is an eye-watering 6,032%.
What?
Oh, no, sorry, that's not the strength.
It can't be 6,000%.
Dearer. 6,032% dearer than the brewer's £4.9 vintage 2016 ale.
I remember when I was a teenager, and I used to drink Carlsberg Special Brew, because that was kind of the drink of the time.
Yes.
But I always wanted to try. There was one beer that was apparently the strongest beer around at the time.
Yeah.
It was called something like Russian Stout.
You sure it wasn't barley wine?
No.
Because in my day, it was barley wine, and it was so strong, it was like drinking sort of whiskey.
Yeah, no, that was like fortified wine. No, this was a beer, because there was a pub in Golders Green I used to walk past on my way to Finchley, where I was going out with a girl, and one of the bottles they had in the window, which when I never went into the pub, that was Russian Stout.
Right.
Or Russian Imperial something or other, and it was meant to be really strong.
Because
it was like 14 or 15%.
Don't know that one.
As opposed to 5%.
Yeah.
I just wondered if you'd ever tried it.
No, I've never tried that, no.
All right.
I mean, I'm only a beer man for about 2 or 3 beers, and then it's too voluminous.
Yeah, you can't drink that
much.
much.
Can't drink it.
No.
I like a Peregrine, what's it called? Peroni. I like a Peroni and lime at this time of the year when the weather's good.
Peroni and lime?
Yeah, a pint of Peroni lager and lime. Excellent. 2 pints of that, fine, no problem. But what's your problem?
Why are you going on about it?
Because I haven't had a drink for about a week. How much did I drink in Cardiff?
What do you mean you haven't had a drink
How
for a
much
week?
did I drink in Cardiff?
When you say you haven't had a drink...
How much did I drink in Cardiff?
Not very much by your standards.
Nothing.
Well, not
Thank
nothing.
you.
No, you had a brandy at the hotel.
I had one brandy to settle my stomach because I was feeling
you had
a little
wine on
dodgy.
the stage.
I had wine on the stage. Didn't drink it.
You had wine in the dressing room.
Didn't drink
you had
it.
some of it.
It touched my lips. That was all.
Your definition of not drinking is not drinking very much.
No.
Is it not?
I have not touched it.
And you're saying you haven't had a drink for a week?
Not for a week.
Did we not have a drink last Friday?
No, we didn't because we were going away on Saturday morning.
True. Did we not have a drink on Thursday?
We had a drink on Thursday, but that was purely work-related, if you remember.
Well, it's still a drink, though.
It's in fact when we made our video about Jay Rayner.
That's right. Don't mention his name.
So it was a prop.
No, it wasn't
It was a prop for the video.
Rubbish. Now, here's a good question for you.
Right, go on.
From Frank, who says he's in Knotty Ash. You know what that is.
Yeah.
He says, "Hi, two Mikes. I'm pondering as to going to see you both when you visit my hometown of Liverpool, which is in November.
Yeah.
Could you please describe how your live show is executed at such a large arena?"
Yes, that's easy.
Yeah.
That's easy. What we do is we work out how many tickets are going to be sold, and we then designate the space and area we need in the arena, and we can then, through very clever lighting, and sometimes
I don't think that's what he's asking.
What do you mean?
Well, he's asking how does the show work.
No, he's asking how we accommodate the numbers in such a big arena.
Well, no, he's not. He's asking. No, he's asking how does the show work, i.e., how is it made up? I.e., we got 2 chairs on the
No,
stage.
he's not. No, he's not, Mike. Read it. He's asking. You see, the O2 Arena holds.
No,
it can hold up to 1,600 people.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
It says, how is your live show executed?
Yes.
That doesn't mean how many chairs you put in.
Read the rest of it.
That's such a large arena.
Thank you.
What he means is...
He didn't say on such a large stage.
No, but he means... You're really stupid at
times,
No,
I'm not.
Aren't you?
You're stupid.
What he means is, right... In your, we're sitting in a radio studio.
Yeah.
There's only 2 of us here.
Yes.
In front of a large crowd of hundreds of people.
Yes.
How does it work? That's what he's asking. He's not asking, how you use clever lighting.
Yes, he is. Because what he's saying is, I'm going to be sitting in the crowd. It's a huge theatre. You 2 are on the stage. How do you make it work?
How's it going to work?
Yeah, how do you make it work? And I'm trying to say to you, don't worry. It will feel very intimate. You and the rest of the audience with us in an area designated to be exactly the size needed for the numbers in that building.
Indeed.
Don't worry about it,
right.
OK?
And we've got a big video screen where you can see other things
That's
going
right.
on. And we are lit with, various different coloured
So you now accept he wasn't actually asking about how many chairs are on the stage.
No,
he
wasn't.
No. He wasn't.
Listen, I'm just going to give up talking to you tonight.
Well, I mean,
I think your cough has so invaded your brain that you're incapable of having a conversation.
If you can't figure out the simplest question from one of our listeners...
He's asking how the show works.
No, he's not. He's not. He's asking...
I'll tell you what, Frank, why don't you send us another text and tell us what you're actually asking, because Porky doesn't understand you.
He's asking how the auditorium in which the show takes place works. That's what he's asking. You're too daft to work that out.
He's just asking generally
how it
would work, because I think for a lot of people to work out how this show would work in a theatre is difficult to do because it's not immediately obvious.
Well, do you know what they should do?
They should come to the show.
No, either come to the show or, folks, go to the2bikes.co.uk where you can either download a production of our show at Den and Chickens, which is our home theatre, or you can order yourself one to be sent to you in a lovely plastic box with a picture.
Lovely plastic box?
Yeah, with a picture of me on the front.
Well, you mean a DVD?
Yes, that's right.
There's not much of a picture of you on the front, to be fair.
Well, there's a bit of you as well.
You're sort of in the background.
No. Your ugly face dominates. I would agree with that.
Yeah, look, Abdul agrees with me.
Ugly.
Oh, my God, shut up, Porky. Why is Porky over-discussing everything today? He says, look at the time, man.
No.
Calm down.
Hey, do you know the other health thing which has been found out this week?
What?
You know those ridiculous things about probiotic bacteria is good for you?
Oh, what, you mean like yoghurt?
Yeah, all these things like, I'm not going to give brand names, but, shake this little bottle, take the seal off the top, and then drink it. Oh, positive bacteria.
That Yakult, isn't it?
Yeah, one's Yakult's one. What's the other one? Moolah Vitality, is it? Something like that?
I don't know.
Researchers found...
I eat Greek yoghurt.
Researchers found no evidence that supposedly gut-friendly yoghurts and other foods boosted well-being in healthy individuals.
Yeah, but that's
another one of these myths.
But, it's not a myth. It's an advertising claim, right? Whatever happened to people believing, not believing everything that's put in front of them? I mean, if I watch an advert on television, I don't suddenly go, oh, I must get that car because, it looks really cool. Yeah. Or I must eat that yoghurt because it's going to be good for my guts. Have people become more stupid?
I think they have. Brits spend an estimated £750 million a year on probiotic foods, often dubbed friendly bacteria.
Well, you see, this is the thing. I mean, these companies are not stupid. I think the problem is, and I've said this before, that evolution is now reversing itself and we're actually going back in time.
Well, you are.
Becoming more thick.
You look like a caveman. You never wash your hair.
Caveman?
Yeah.
I washed my hair tonight.
Well, you didn't wash it at the weekend in Cardiff.
Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
Vin says this from Boston, US of A. Parry ranting on about Rogerisation. Quality. He says, listening from Boston, Mr. Mike, since I moved here.
Yeah, good.
Now, here's one from Frank from Notty Ash has been in touch. To clarify his question from earlier.
Excuse me.
He says, hi, two Mikes. Thanks for your reply. Porky obviously jumped in and got the wrong end of the stick, but you have put my mind at rest, MG.
So what was the question about?
That was the one we were just talking about, the Liverpool show.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Which you jumped to the wrong conclusion
No, I didn't. No,
well, Frank says you did.
Well, I don't think
he
I
asked
did.
the question.
Now, listen, I've got something to talk to you about here. You remember last week?
Well, that's handy.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Now, remember last week we talked about this situation where when you got an aeroplane and there's a lot of trouble, sometimes it can be...
You're talking about air rage between the first class and the second class passengers.
Exactly, right? Well, there is a solution to this, of course, and I've been talking to a lot of colleagues about how we should get this sorted.
This is what we described as people walking through the first class section and getting jealous.
Well, they're usually walking through the business class section, aren't they?
Steerage.
First class is usually so remotely, was sealed off to the masses.
The scum, as you would call them.
Well, I know. I never refer to people like that. I would say.
You've heard of people boarding council houses as scum.
No, I don't. I've never done that.
You have done it.
I've never said that. But those who maybe are not as big achievers in life as those in first class don't usually see first class, but they do often have to walk through business class. You're right. Now, the way to sort it all out, of course, is we need two classes of aircraft. We need an aircraft which is economy only, an aircraft which is business and first class only.
Yeah,
because I don't believe that business class passengers get terribly wound up about first class passengers. I don't.
No, I don't think
I'd rather be in business class.
Well, you'd rather be in first class.
No, I turned down first class on a number of occasions.
You've never turned down first class
I certainly have. I have, honestly.
When?
I don't like the first class because I think it's too tiny. There are too many people in there looking at you and watching you and serving you drink all the time.
What do you mean there's too many people looking at you?
Well, there are. There's too many members of staff in the first class cabin where sometimes there's only like 16 seats.
So when was the last time you declined an offer to be upgraded to first class?
Oh, it was on the transatlantic flight.
You declined the offer?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, on one occasion I did accept it, and I took Joan Collins' seat on a flight home from LA.
Was she not in it?
No, of course she wasn't in it, you idiot. That's why it was offered to me, because she didn't turn up for the flight, or she cancelled or something.
Then you were the closest thing to a diva they could find?
No, I was the closest thing to a man who deserved an upgrade for his contribution to life.
I see.
Yeah.
But the trouble is, right,
yes.
The more you look at, for example, because what I was going to say there is one of the many planes that, say, doesn't have a first-class section as such.
Yes.
Are when you go on package holiday planes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And everybody pretty much in the same class. But they've started to change those now, because now they've started to do things like premium economy and try and sort of, make a bit more money. But every time anyone's tried to run...
Introducing class warfare almost.
Well, yeah, but no, I don't think so.
They are. You've got a better seat than me and all that.
No, they're just trying to make more money. I mean, that's why they do it. Because some people would say, I quite like having a slightly wider seat.
Yes.
I like getting cutlery which is not made of plastic.
Yes.
I like getting, an unlimited amount of drinks and all the rest of it. But every time they've tried to do, say, a business-only airline, it fails.
Yeah, it does.
Every time they try to do a first-class-only flight, as there used to be, I think, from some city airport over to America, it doesn't work.
There is a second solution, and this is my solution.
Okay.
What you do is you actually seal off the first and business from economy.
I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, you do. You seal it off completely.
No, safety-wise, they wouldn't let you.
No, you don't understand.
You need to have curtains.
Eh?
That's why they've got curtains.
No, you don't understand. You don't understand.
No, I do understand.
No, you don't.
I know an awful lot about aircraft safety.
I'm trying to explain this to you if you just shut your mouth. So at the moment...
You're getting very, very angry
At the moment, when people board on, what do they call them things at the, like the, what's it called? The arm.
Them things.
The thing that goes out to the plane.
You're supposed to be an English master.
That's right.
Them things.
What's the moving thing that goes up to the plane and sticks onto the door?
Are you talking about there is a special name for it.
Yeah, there is something. But it's a thing that the passengers walk off the plane on, okay? Yeah. Now, what you need to do is, instead of having one of those at the front of a jumbo jet when everybody gets off, you have two. And you have one for business and first.
But they usually do, don't they?
No, they don't.
Yeah,
this is the point.
The last time I was on a transatlantic flight, they've usually got one sort of towards the middle of the plane and one towards the front of the plane.
Well, in that case, there should be no need at all for anybody who's travelling in economy to go through the first or business class section of the plane.
Well, no, they do, though, because they need to get people off the plane as quickly as possible. That's why they have two of them.
No, they shouldn't. They should, in that case, have two at the back and one at the front, and then get people off quicker. But that costs a little bit more, but then the economy people can pay for that if they want at the door. And
well, how about this for a much better solution, right? I've got a much better solution than any of that. Don't have any different class of carriage.
No, nobody would fly then.
You can, of course they would.
I'm going to fly with people who don't know how to behave themselves.
Oh, right. You're the same guy that just turned down a first-class upgrade.
Yes.
You don't want to fly with the people at the back of the plane?
Well, not if they don't behave themselves. I'm not saying that... look, 99% of people who fly planes are brilliant.
You're saying that the only people who misbehave are those in economy?
No, but there are more people in economy, so there's a greater chance, percentage-wise, of them misbehaving. You see what I mean?
But you see, surely you're missing the logic of my argument. The logic of my argument is if you did away with any class... then everybody's in the same class.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't get served...
there's no reason for anyone to be jealous.
I wouldn't get served loads of free Pinot Grigio when at my beck and call.
See,
I'd have to wait. I'd have to wait.
That's the tragedy.
I don't want to wait.
If you're actually in a decent plane with some decent wine selections, you would order the, £2.50 glass of Pinot Grigio. Because you don't deserve to be somebody who is plied with expensive wine.
That's a terrible
thing. Because you don't recognise expensive wine.
That's a terrible thing. Now, listen, you might be flying across the Atlantic soon, right?
I am.
Right, now...
In fact, in a couple of weeks.
Depending on which...
Go to see my mother.
Do you know which... Yeah, it's very good. That's Commando. Which airline are you going with?
British Airways.
Right. Do you know that British Airways are introducing an app, right? And it signals... to you, there are 20 minutes left for you to get to the boarding gate to get on the plane.
Oh, yeah?
They are hoping to cut out the scourge of the late passengers who keep the planes waiting.
Well, they get you to go to the gate so early now.
I know.
That, I can't believe anybody misses planes anymore.
Yeah, well, they do. And anyway, this could save £10 million a year, seriously, in waiting time, costs, fuel, and all that kind of stuff. Now, I've had this problem before. I was coming back from Germany once, because what happens is, the biggest problem?
Yeah.
People who stay in the bar too long.
Yes.
Right?
Or also people who kind of don't manage to work out beforehand how long it actually takes to get to the gate.
Well,
I mean, if you're at Heathrow, and in fact they've now got signs that say it will take you 20 minutes to get to the gate. Because in the old days it didn't say that.
It's worse in Gatwick, because sometimes you have to get that little train out to the hub or something like that.
To the South Terminal.
Yeah, and it can take 25 minutes.
Or the North Terminal, yeah.
So anyway, coming back from somewhere once, I can't remember where it was, like Serbia or Croatia or somewhere, we had to fly through Frankfurt.
Yeah. That's a big airport.
Yeah, it is a big airport. On
Frankfurt am Main, isn't it?
Frankfurt am Main.
Yeah.
On Lufthansa.
Yeah.
And we were in the bar because, we'd been in Serbia and the wine there's not very good. And, you know what I mean?
You don't need an excuse to be in the bar at airport.
And then all of a sudden, my technician who's supposed to look after these things, his name was Matt, and he was a bit slow off the mark. And
well, he was a very busy boy, Matt.
Turned out not to be as good at his job as we thought we were. Suddenly said, we're going to miss the plane. So we galloped off down...
He was from Birmingham.
He was from Birmingham. Yeah. Galloped off down to the gate.
Yeah.
And then as I sprinted through, I noticed he was getting stopped because they wanted to check the equipment he was carrying. Because we have to carry some of the radio equipment hand luggage because it gets damaged if you put it in the hold. And he got stopped, so that was good. because I thought I can now sprint onto the plane. I don't care whether he gets on or not, as long as I don't miss it.
Very loyal of you, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, as it happened, even I got stopped because we were just too late and they were closing the door.
Right.
And I said, but, it's not my fault. and anyway, Matt eventually...
Well, of course it wouldn't be your fault.
So
Did you blame him?
No, this is great. Here's the story. Matt eventually joins me, and, we've missed the plane and all that. So I then decided to blame Lufthansa.
Right.
And I went up and I said, what do you think you're playing at? What do you mean? I said, well, look, you took so long checking our electronic equipment. You stopped us getting on the plane. We missed the plane. What are we going to do? I didn't realise there's a plane every hour back to London, so it didn't really matter,
Yeah, but that could have been, the next one could have been full.
No, but anyway, listen, get this. So they said, we're really sorry, sir. And they gave us some vouchers to go back to the bar and have some free drinks. And when the time...
That's where you didn't need to go.
By the time we got back and we made sure we were on time this time, we got a full apology from the supervisor saying, Mr. Parry, we are very sorry that you've delayed getting onto the flight because the people who check the electronic equipment on your radio show...
You turned into a Dutchman
No.
It was Louis van Gaal.
No, they take too long to examine equipment. I issue the big apology and the upgrade to London with free food and drink.
Right.
Thank you for flying Lufthansa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, so how much more drink did you get on the plane?
Oh, as much as I get down my throat in the hour and a half, 2 hours it took to get to London.
Absolutely shocking.
Yeah,
Every one of your stories ends with more drinking and violence.
No, I don't think so.
How are you feeling? Because you haven't been too well lately, have you?
I've been
I thought you might not make it out of Cardiff, I have to say.
Well,
apart from in a box.
Yeah. Really? That's funny, is it?
Yeah, I had the old funeral directors on standby for you.
Yeah. On the way up there,
Down there?
No, up there, on the journey to Wales.
Yeah, it's down there. You go down to Wales, you don't go up to Wales.
No, I go...
No, you go down to Wales.
No, I don't go down to Wales unless I'm in Chester. If I'm in London, I go up to Wales because Cardiff is north of London.
I don't think so.
Of course it is.
It's completely on the same latitude.
No, it's not. Bristol's on the same latitude and then Cardiff is above it.
You think Cardiff is north of Bristol?
Of course it is.
Really?
Of course it is,
Really?
you idiot. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen.
I'm not sure you're right about that.
Excuse me, let me tell you this, right? Now, I complained...
You're going to be coughing and spluttering all the way. I had to put up with this all last week, right?
No.
I had to put up with it at the weekend. I had to put up with you kind of moaning and groaning about how you might not make it through. How you haven't been able to sleep.
I've been on a pretty high intensity dosage of
for many years.
No, here of Benylin.
Benylin?
Yeah, Benylin.
Now, you shouldn't drink too much of that. That was one of the problems you had at the Express. You became addicted to Benylin.
Hang on.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, Benylin.
Yeah.
These sort of flu powder things, which have got black currant in them.
Beecham's,
that's right. Beecham's black currant. A licorice...
all sorts.
No, I do like those, but no, this is organic licorice, like fluid. You know what I mean?
What?
It's taken from the licorice tree.
Tree?
Yeah.
Where is the licorice tree?
Well, it's the licorice tree is a stalk, actually, isn't it?
The licorice stalk? Well, where is it?
It's a licorice root, actually. It's a root.
Where is it?
In Alabama, I think. I think you get licorice roots in Alabama. Right. But anyway.
Okay.
So I've got the Benylin, I've got the blackcurrant Beecham's, the licorice root.
Yeah.
Yeah. Organic, that
Bristol is actually south of Cardiff.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
Look, there.
No.
There's
the
map.
Let's have a look.
Bristol's south of Cardiff.
Bristol.
It's across the Bristol Channel, south of Cardiff.
Bristol.
See?
Hang on.
Look, you can see it there.
Wait a minute. I'm having a look here. Bristol. Nah, rubbish.
It's the word Bristol is below the word Cardiff.
That's only because they've written Bristol under the dot for the city, and they've written Cardiff above the dot for the city.
Well, look where the two dots are.
No, they're exactly the same.
No, they're not.
They are.
Well, whichever way you cut it, Cardiff is not.
Anyway,
north
I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Right.
Now, so I was going to say is a high intensity.
Anyway, so you've had a concoction of various supplements.
Yeah, with paracetamol.
You'd probably fail a drugs test if you're in the Olympics.
Yeah, I've been taking paracetamol. And
you've got to be careful with that, because
I know.
it can make you woozy.
Well,
woozy
and also
normal.
I still take 16 tablets a day to keep my heart in shape.
Yeah.
And in addition...
Even though it's in better shape than it ever has been.
In addition, I've taken a combination of honey, lemon and sliced ginger.
Really?
Yeah, very strong stuff.
You can get addicted to that.
Can you?
Sliced ginger, yeah.
Well, it's very good. Anyway, the result of it is that actually I started feeling like I was on LSD. I started hallucinating. What's your problem?
Just the idea of you hallucinating is quite frightening.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
what sort of things will you see when you're like being followed around by a 9-foot-tall rabbit?
No, nothing like that. But all of a sudden, the water in my bird bath disappeared.
Really?
Just you know.
You sure it wasn't those pigeons that knocked it over?
No. 1 minute it was there, and the next minute I blinked, and God blimey, it's all gone. You know, I couldn't believe it, and all that kind of stuff.
It may have been sucked out by the warmth of the sun,
but not in the space of the blink of an eye. That's
really?
What I'm saying. Yeah,
right.
and weird things started happening. Letters started coming through the door, and all this kind of stuff.
Letters?
Yeah.
Well, I thought you'd had that all sealed up.
Oh, no, I haven't had that sealed up. People who...
What, so have you got a letterbox?
Yeah, I've got a letterbox, yeah. And
so they have to be able to squeeze it around the cage-like
No, there's
apparatus.
No.
Yeah, there is. I've seen it.
No, there's an opening through it. Don't worry about that. But what I'm saying is that shouldn't really happen on a Sunday, should it? But anyway, that's about that.
No.
Anyway.
Well, unless it's sometimes stuff delivered by hand, by the... there's estate agents always putting things through your door.
No.
Well, what sort of letter was it?
It was a letter about... I'm just trying to remember now. It was a letter about... I don't know, some new deal on some mountain gear or mountain climbing gear or something, Anyway...
have you been ordering stuff from the shopping channel again?
No. But anyway, so I'm on the road back to recovery, or the road to recovery. But getting back to going to Cardiff, right?
Yeah.
I'll make it on a level plane. I won't say up or down. I'm going to Cardiff, right? And, of course, when I got to Cardiff, I complained to the guy at the station in Cardiff that... I wasn't alerted on the train because I was in first class, and I wasn't alerted by the guard to the magnificent sight of going across the Bristol Channel.
Yes.
Into Wales.
The Severn Estuary.
Yes.
Yeah, because funnily enough, when we drove back, because we didn't have the executive producer in the car on the way over, just me and Emma, when we drove back, I said to him, you really want to look out for the beautiful vista that you're about to see.
Yes.
Because I wasn't sure quite where the train crosses.
That's right.
But I think it crosses north of the old crossing.
No, I found out.
Does it go in a tunnel?
Well, I was just about to say to you, I said, I wanted to see this magnificent view. I said, when you go over the River Mersey, I said on the Runcorn Windus Bridge, I said when you go across the Thames, and all this kind of stuff. And they said, oh... No, sir, you will not see that on this train. I said, why not?
Why not?
He said, because, do you remember going through that very long tunnel? I said, yes, I did. I said, I wondered where that went to. He said, that goes underneath the water.
So it goes underneath?
Not above it.
So that would explain why I've never seen a railway bridge over the Severn.
And that's why it would explain why I looked out the window for 20 minutes.
You see, in that case, you've missed something quite spectacular, and that's a good reason to drive the next time, because it's a fantastic, beautiful bridge.
Anyway.
And it is a wonderful vista.
I have to say...
Even when the tide's out.
I have to say, when we got to Cardiff, and we got to the Holiday Inn, very nice hotel, thank you to the people there, except they didn't...
Well, we did pay for it.
Yeah, but they didn't give me a wake-up call either on Sunday.
Why not?
Well, I don't know. I asked them 3 times. 3 times I wanted a wake-up call.
Well,
because
just set your own alarm.
I do, but I like emergency procedures and all that kind of stuff. Backup and all that kind of stuff, which you wouldn't even think about. Anyway, it didn't happen.
Well, no, I don't need a wake-up call because I'm not in a hurry to get out of everywhere I go.
But anyway...
I was, I was going to luxuriate in my room for a little while and then go and have breakfast.
Yeah, then I saw your eyes light up as we realised there was a wedding going on.
I don't know why you went on about this. I mean, I've never seen a more ugly collection of people in my life. The idea that I would in some way target these people... that I would in some way target any of them for any kind of Roger activity.
Just
it's a shocking
that,
thing to say.
A wedding party in a hotel in Cardiff, and you've just described them as never seen a more ugly collection of people in my life.
It's true.
What a dreadful thing to say. I disassociate myself that absolutely completely. I really do, honestly.
I think you should start chewing some more licorice.
No. That's a disgraceful thing to say. There were a group of young men, a group of young ladies...
Would you like me to recount what you said when we first saw them?
What?
Would you like me to recount what you said when we first saw them?
All I said was, I hope they all have a really nice day.
No, that is not what you said. No, that is not what you said.
What are you going to claim I said?
I'm not going to claim anything. As you know, there's one person in this room that constantly tells lies. There's another one who constantly tells the truth. Now,
I'm the seeker of truth and justice, so I'm the truth one.
What time did you send out a tweet tonight saying you were just arriving at TalkSport Towers?
I said soon to arrive.
Yeah, when did you send that out?
Just soon before I arrived.
You sent it out at 10 to 11?
Soon before I arrived.
When did you arrive?
Wasn't long after.
Not long?
Not long.
When you would say, what long would be, like an hour from then?
Oh, no. Probably a few minutes after 11, I would say.
Really?
Yeah.
You were here a few minutes after 11?
Well, hang on. I was actually constitutionally walking around the building outside when you arrived, so I got here before you, didn't I?
Why were the lights in your car still on then?
They weren't.
Yeah, they were.
No, they weren't.
They were when I drove up the street.
Oh, I went back to get one of my journals. That's right. Yeah,
okay.
I did, yeah.
So anyway, what you said to me was, my God, were your words, I don't think I've ever seen a collection of people like this in my life.
No, I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I utterly deny that. That's not the sort of thing I would ever say.
Really?
Anyway. Not the sort of thing I'd ever say.
Really?
What I said was, I think it's great to see so many people enjoying themselves so nicely. What you said was, wow, seems to be a lot of women looking for
I'm an
opportunity here.
No, that's not true.
You described
you make up stories about me, right?
You
all the
described
time,
it
constantly
as a woman-rich environment.
No, I did not.
And
at
now
all.
you've just insulted them by
No, I
saying
did not.
a collection of ugly people.
You don't have
What a disgrace.
You have no clue about even what you say
I hope
when
the
you
bog
say
cleaner's listening and will spread the word to his fellow countryman, I'm telling you.
The bog cleaner, as you rather unfortunately describe him, wasn't able to make it on Saturday night.
No.
So sorry we didn't see you, Derek, but we would have had a place for you at the front of the auditorium had you been able to be there. Now, sadly, we're out of time. So you'll have to keep quiet for 5 minutes. Go and have some kind of hallucinogenic drug intake. This is definitely your era of music, I would say, so I would guarantee that you would know exactly who this is.
That's Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show.
Exactly right.
Brilliant. And their best song wasn't that one. Their best song was Sylvia's Mother.
Sylvia's Mother,
Do you remember it?
I do remember it, yeah.
Sylvia's
It got banned,
mother
and I could never understand why.
Said Sylvia's leaving.
Sylvia's busy, isn't she?
What,
Sylvia's busy?
Oh, yeah, hang on. Sylvia's mother said Sylvia's busy. Too busy to come to the phone.
That's right. But why did they ban it, though?
Sylvia's mother said Sylvia's going, so why don't you leave her alone? That was the one.
That's it.
Because the theme...
Why was it banned, though?
I don't know. What was it banned for?
I just remember it being banned from the radio for some reason.
Sylvia's mother.
I don't think it had anything in it which was particularly sexual or drug-related or anything like that.
No, the story, and it was quite a good story in the song, was that she's going to meet a guy down in Galveston Way, and the operator said another 40 cents.
30 cents more.
For the next 3 minutes, please.
Don't sing the whole thing.
Mrs. What was her
30
name?
cents more.
What was her name?
Mrs. Abraham, wasn't it?
Abraham. Oh, no, not the same name as the fat guy who works in the studio. No.
That's very harsh.
Yeah.
Now, how about this for a story?
So why did you play that anyway?
Well, just because it was when you're in love with a beautiful woman. We were talking about that Rogerisation scenario. And you could have had Captain Hook.
Or
as a reference,
could have been related to Sheridan Smith and the stand-in lady at the theatre where she's not
seem
performing.
Very taken by this story.
Well, I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing. If you want me just to recap it for a minute, but I mean, Sheridan Smith is the lady who played Scylla.
Yeah.
So that immediately makes her a favourite of mine because it's the culture in which I grew up in and all that kind of stuff. It's a great award-winning show, BAFTA-winning show.
Uh-huh.
She goes to the BAFTAs on Sunday, doesn't win. She thinks she should have won for a play called Mrs. C.
Yeah.
That's a C for cancer.
Uh-huh.
And she wanted to dedicate being given the Best Actress prize to the lady upon whom she based this. It was a woman who who shaved her hair off in sympathy with a friend. Who was fighting cancer. She didn't get the award. Apparently went out on the bladderisation trail, missed the show the next night, has now missed 3 consecutive nights. Now, the way the plot is going now is that increasingly drama critics are writing that the lady who stands in for her understudy, Natasha Barnes, who's now had an uninterrupted 3-night run, is now in herself emerging as a terrific actress.
Well, this can often happen, I suppose.
And getting standing ovations at the end of shows. And people are now saying on the way out, being in and saying, who's Sheridan Smith?
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's a pretty rapid way to torpedo your own career, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, that's unfortunately the business of show business, I suppose, is like that, isn't it? It's a bit like where we've now got Axl Rose singing for AC/DC.
Yes.
People might be going to the show saying, actually, Axl Rose is better than the guy that was supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And therefore, maybe he'll end up staying with AC/DC.
Is he dead, by the way, the guy who should have been there?
No, he went deaf.
Oh, he went
Brian
deaf?
Johnson.
Oh, well, you can still sing when you're deaf.
Well, he doesn't feel like he can.
Well, Mozart wrote a load of...
but he didn't sing, though, did he?
No, but he actually wrote his last couple of concertos when he was stone deaf, didn't he?
But he
was it Mozart or Beethoven?
Yeah, wasn't it Beethoven?
Beethoven. Did he cut his ear off?
He didn't. That was Van Gogh.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But did he not have... I'll tell you what he did cut off, though. I understand he cut off the legs of the piano. So that when he was playing the piano, could feel the sort of the rhythm.
Yes, that's right. He did. Yeah.
And so he could feel the music that way.
Yeah, that's right. He did when he was deaf. You mean? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did.
Well, you wouldn't do it when you were not deaf. You'd just be done for some kind of vandalism.
Well, you might. You might do. You might feel feeling the resonance of the musical notes through your bones.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember that sound is bones. Sound goes into your brain through a series of bones in your ear.
Through your ear, yeah.
So it's all about rattling bones. That's what your ears are. Your ears are not an ear. They're a collection of 3 bones that rattle together to interpret noise.
What about the eardrum?
Yeah, well, the eardrum...
That's not a bone, is it?
No, it's a filter. Yeah. That filters noise onto the bones.
The eardrum where a lot of the sound actually resonates.
Yeah, some of it resonates there. That's why when you fracture your eardrum, you've got a problem. But I mean, that's the old inevitable question that can't be answered.
What?
If you cut down a tree and there's nobody in the forest, does it make a noise?
If there's nobody in the forest to hear it?
Yes.
No, of course it makes a noise.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Of course it makes a noise.
It doesn't.
How does it not?
Because the person in the forest only gets the response from the fact that the airwaves, which are generated by the falling tree, then rush towards the head of the person standing there, and those airwaves go into the ear and start rattling the bones in the middle ear.
Well, that's like saying...
that's the noise.
But it doesn't mean it doesn't make a noise just because there's nobody there to hear it.
No, it does.
No, it doesn't.
No, it does, honestly.
It's the same as saying if there was a deaf person standing in the forest and a tree fell and the deaf person couldn't hear the sound, would it make any noise? Of course it would.
No, it wouldn't. No. Listen, let me tell you, we'll do an experiment one day. What we'll do is we'll go to Delamere Forest, OK?
Why?
Well, it's in Cheshire, near me, and I used to play there as a child.
Why don't we go to the New Forest? It's closer.
There's no trees.
There are some trees.
There's no trees in New Forest. So what we'll do is, we will take a microphone from this very studio, because we've got lots of microphones, and we'll strap it to a tree, OK?
Yeah.
And then we'll take a 6-mile cable of lead.
6 miles?
Yeah, 6 miles.
Yeah.
And we'll go and sit in a field 6 miles away, OK? And what we'll do is we will then get somebody to go into the forest with a chainsaw and cut the tree next to the one with our microphone on down.
OK.
So we will hear through the microphone the chainsaw noise. We will hear the noise of the man with the chainsaw cutting through the tree next to our tree that's got the microphone on.
OK.
We will then ask him...
what do you think we'll hear?
We'll hear the chainsaw.
And we'll hear the tree falling.
No, hang on. This is what I'm about to say to you.
How are you?
So I'm about to say to you. When we then we'll ask him to step back with his chainsaw, OK? And then do you know what will happen? The tree will come down, but we will hear nothing.
Why?
Because there is no human being in the forest.
Well, what about the guy cutting the tree down?
No. We're not listening to his head. We're listening to the tree falling.
Well, if you put a microphone next to the tree that's falling, you'll hear the tree falling.
No, you won't.
What? Don't be ridiculous.
You can't.
Why not?
It's not resonating against anything.
What?
It's not resonating against anything.
That's the biggest load of old cobblers you've ever come out with.
No, it's not. It's not.
So what's the point of having a microphone in a place where you are not, then?
Because...
So you're telling me that you wouldn't be able to hear anything?
No, the difference is this. The microphone is attached to the tree next door, and I've got a 6-mile lead, so you're listening to it from 6 miles away. If you were in the forest and watched the tree coming down, the noise would be the air rushing into your eardrum and then through your hammer and your anvil, which are the 2 of the bones in your ear.
But, I mean, what about the noise rushing into the microphone?
No, the microphone is not an ear. The microphone is just a microphone.
Yeah, but it records sound.
Yeah, it records sound, but there is no sound.
Of course there is.
No, there is. There is not. There is no sound.
That's rubbish.
No, it's not.
You're talking absolute rubbish.
No, this experiment's been done. It's proven. Honestly.
No, it hasn't been done. Who's done that?
Loads of people have done it. Phonetics experts have done it.
I don't think you're
I'm
right.
telling you.
I think you got it wrong.
No, I haven't got it wrong. I mean, we couldn't hear anything on the moon. There's no sound has ever come back from the moon for the same reason.
That's not the same reason.
It is.
No, it isn't.
It is.
The reason that you can't hear things in space is because there's nothing to transmit the sound.
And no human ear has ever been in space because they've had a space helmet on.
Yeah.
And therefore, you've never been able to interpret sound.
No, I think you're wrong about
this.
No,
I'm not wrong. What I'm saying is
Well, now we're going to have to get an expert on. We're going to have to find an expert who can explain this to us.
Sure, an astronaut...
I mean, if you didn't have a microphone there and you weren't there to hear it, I can understand that you wouldn't hear it.
Yeah.
If you've got a microphone there, the whole point of a microphone, for example, have you ever watched a David Attenborough documentary or one of these wildlife documentaries where they put a microphone around a collection of apes or something like that, right?
Yes.
Now, technically speaking, you're saying you wouldn't be able to hear them because there's no interaction with your ear, right? But you can hear them.
No, that's human noise. That's human noise.
No, they're apes.
That's animal noise.
When they swing through the trees,
animal noise.
When they swing through the trees, you hear the trees rustling, you hear the leaves rustling.
No.
Yes, you do.
No, I'm telling you, human beings have to be there to... No, they do.
That's rubbish.
No, Mike, they do, honestly.
The only one way to settle the argument is to get an expert on.
It's basic physics and physiology, honestly. If you're not there and there's no wind rushing into your ear, there is no sound. Sound is not sound.
Well, what you're basically saying is there's no point in having a microphone anywhere unless there's a person there to hear it.
That's right.
If you stick a microphone inside, for example, Goodison Park,
yes,
right,
yes,
but you don't actually sit there yourself and you sit in a room somewhere a mile away,
yes,
you will of course hear all the sounds coming out of Goodison Park.
Of course you will.
You've got a microphone.
That's human noise. That's human noise. I'm talking about a falling tree.
How's a falling tree noise any different from any other noise?
Because it does not reach the decibel levels or the pitches of a human voice.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't. A human voice you can...
But it makes a noise.
No, it doesn't make a noise. A falling tree does not make a noise, honest to God. The noise that you think it makes is...
So you're saying this is specific to a falling tree?
Well, it's
any other noise that you can't hear?
It is specific to inanimate objects.
Really?
Because the human ear can obviously detect and perceive the noise of other humans or animals because we're all on the same sort of wavelength, you know what I mean? But the noise of a falling tree is not... There is no noise. What it is
I don't agree with you.
no, it's the rush of air that the tree's pushing out of the way as it falls to the ground, which rushes into your ear and then is interpreted by your eardrum, your anvil, your hammer, and eventually your brain into being a noise.
Well, I've seen people cutting down trees.
Yes.
And it makes a lot more noise than just the rush of air. It
Yes.
makes a noise when it hits the ground. It makes a noise if it's rushing against whatever kind of foliage is around.
Yeah, but there's a lumberjack cutting that tree down, you see.
Yeah.
And that's why.
No.
Okay.
Well, here's what Roy says. Roy
Yep.
says, so if no one is there to hear it, there's no sound. What absolute cobblers, no sound in space because there's no atmosphere.
Yeah.
Scott says, Parry, you're away in fairyland again. Sound is measured in waves. They would bounce off the surroundings.
No, that's not true. They bounce into your eardrum.
Mark the Taxi, oh my God, Parry's talking absolute guff. The tree hitting the ground and other trees, for starters, would be heard through the microphone.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't, honestly.
And Andrew says, so there is no light if no human eyes are watching.
Of course there is. Light's a completely different concept. You know, light doesn't exist just because the refractive quality of physical science goes into your optical nerve or anything like that. Light is light, and it's brought to us by the sun. I mean, that's totally different.
Right.
Totally different.
I'm very, very sceptical about this. So what we'll have to do is next week, because tomorrow we've got Sandra Lee coming on.
Yes.
Next week, what we'll have to do is get a special tree falling expert
Yeah,
on
sure, yeah.
who can explain whether you're right or wrong. My suspicion is you're wrong.
Well, here, we've got one of our regular correspondents here, Liz. She's quite an expert in a number of matters. She says Porky is absolutely right to do with the cutting of trees. He's right because she's read it in a journal.
Well, there's your evidence then.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I get backed up by interested listeners. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Maybe, possibly so. Our next live show is coming up on June the 10th at Dingwalls in London. If you haven't got a ticket for that yet, go ahead and get one. You can find it on Twitter on The Two Mics, or you can find it on Facebook on The Two Mics, or you can go to thetwomics.co.uk where we've got a whole list of other shows that we're doing as well.
Dingwalls, that's in Camden Lock, isn't it?
It is in Camden Lock,
that's where we're going.
Yes, indeed. Or Camden Town, as I used to call it. It's now known just as Camden, you know, because...
I thought Camden Town was the groovy name for it.
Well, it used to be. I mean, when it was my sort of manor.
It's Amy Winehouse territory, isn't it?
It certainly is. Yeah,
exactly,
Amy Winehouse did live there, and in fact, there's a statue to her there.
Is it where they have the street market?
They do.
And I remember all these places selling coats and all that, and they're all like Afghan coats and all that kind of stuff. You
now
know?
It's more kind of...
and a lot of them were very smelly, by the way. They're all second-hand junk, you know.
Well,
what
the
I mean?
whole point of an
Rubbish.
Afghan was that it was meant to be smelly. You meant to put patchouli oil on it, and it was meant to be very hippie-like and all that kind of thing. My sister had one, actually, for a while. Yeah, but not for long. But now they sell more kind of... what you might call sort of...
artifacts.
No, I mean, they still sell clothes, but it's not so much hippie clothes as it is kind of, leather and long coats. And
if I've got it right in my head, Camden Lock's there, and that's where there's a load of these long boats that people live on permanently.
They do, Regent's Park Canal,
Regent's Park Canal.
The nicest part of Regent's Park Canal goes from Camden down to Little Venice in Maida Vale.
I know where that
is. Which is very pleasant.
I know where that is.
Now, I've got a question for you. What did you buy me for my wedding present?
What?
What did you buy me for my wedding present?
What did I buy you?
Yeah. I don't remember you getting me one.
Yeah, I did get you one.
Did you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, certain, yeah.
The reason I'm asking you is because I saw a story earlier.
It was a vase.
A vase?
Yeah, a vase for your new home. Yeah, go on, sorry.
Really?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, go on.
Because I didn't ask for anything like that. Because I didn't have a wedding list.
What's the story?
The story is a pair of newlyweds apparently wrote a letter or an email to a wedding guest saying that they
the ones who asked for more money.
her gift is generous enough. Yeah, she gave them £100 cheque, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And apparently this has been written all over Mumsnet. You know, that place
Yeah,
where
that's
people
right,
go
yeah.
for advice on all manner of things.
Yeah.
And the guest, who's remained anonymous, basically has said that she was just sort of incredulous that she would get this note from these people.
Yeah.
They said, you know, you seem to enjoy the reception terribly well, and you seem very happy for us, and we're a bit disappointed about the small amount of money you've
I think
given
what they
us.
said, actually, because I read both sides of it, I think they said perhaps, after seeing the quality of the reception tonight, you might like to revise your donation.
We were surprised that your contribution didn't seem to match the warmth of your good wishes on our big day.
Yeah, exactly,
In view of your own position, if you wanted to send any adjustment, it would be thankfully received.
Yeah.
That's pretty cheeky, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but you know what it's all about? It's all about the new plastic world, isn't it? These days. So in the old days, you got like, give us the wedding list, and then you'd have to troop along to some shop like
House of Fraser or
John
something.
Lewis or something like that.
Yeah.
And say, I'll pay for the vacuum cleaner or something like that, some load of rubbish like that, you know. And then, of course, you could do that over the phone, then you could do it on a credit card and all that. What happens these days is you are simply asked to donate an amount from your Barclay card or something like that, 250 quid.
But, I mean, it was pretty awful, isn't it? I mean, one of the reasons I didn't do anything like that was because at the time when I got married, I lived in a one-bedroom apartment in Manhattan.
Yes.
And I didn't really need, a 24-piece dinner set
No.
or a load of vases or glasses.
That's why I got you the vase.
Well, I'm sure you didn't get me a
I
vase.
did.
I think you made that up.
No, you ask your ex-wife, Susan, she'll tell you. Honestly.
Yeah,
I remember giving it to her, actually. I remember I remember actually unwrapping it in Bob Smith's apartment where we had the reception.
Really?
We had the reception in Bob Smith's apartment.
Yeah, we did, but we didn't unwrap any presents.
Yeah, you did.
No,
yeah. There was a table in the corner. There was a table in the corner with all the presents on.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I did what a lot of the Americans do, and just ask for money, basically.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I did very well. I made about 10 grand.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good. Yeah, I gave you some money as well, of course. Yeah,
Did you?
as I always do. Yeah.
What sort of vase was it?
It had decorative flowers. It was a clear, but it had decorative flowers.
Clear?
Clear.
What, you mean it's glass?
Yeah, it was a glass vase, but it had woven into it like decorative red flowers.
No? Where'd
Yeah,
you
I
buy
remember it. Eh?
Where'd you buy it?
Bloomingdale's.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, I went up there to get it. Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen, I'll tell you what that reminds me of is that the new trend. Now, whenever I've gone out for a drink or a meal or anything with a woman, I never allow a woman to pay, ever.
Why not?
Well, I just don't. I was brought up not to. It's not good form, right? It's just not good form. And over the years, people. I must. No, I won't. I insist I won't. Funny enough, I was out for a drink with a colleague last couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Who insisted on paying £20 towards
a female colleague.
Yes, who insisted on paying. Well, wanted to pay £40 actually towards the cost of the drinks that were and what we were eating.
Well, it
and all
wasn't
that.
necessarily a date, though, was it?
No, it wasn't. No, it was a get together with a colleague and all that.
So if you're,
Well,
I can understand you being very kind of old-fashioned about.
You mean chivalrous?
Well, no, I mean old-fashioned actually about taking a woman out on a date and paying for her dinner.
Yeah.
But if you're just out with a woman who happens to be a colleague who happens to be a woman, why would you then have to pay for everything?
Well, I just like doing it. But anyway, the point of my story is, I'm now aware of the fact, because I keep an eye on, credit card facilities all the time and all that. You know this tap card thing now?
Yes.
So what's that up to now? Is that 50 quid?
Contactless, 30, I think.
I think it's 50.
No, I think it's 30.
No, I think it's 50.
I'm pretty sure it's 30.
You think it's 30?
Yeah.
Okay,
They
30.
just put it up from 20 to 30.
Right, well, let me tell you this. I'm told now...
Have you got a contactless card?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Have you ever used it?
I use it sparingly when, I'm sure the cash or something.
Sparingly?
Yeah, because I think if you use it all the time, can be abused. But anyway, the point of my story is the head waiter at one dining establishment that I use now, where people have dishes over lunch, which might come to, I don't know, £45 or something, or after...
What do you mean, for a single dish?
Well, for nibbles,
Well,
basically.
it's just the rich you're talking about.
Well, it's where people go after work for a glass of champagne and nibbles, believe it or not.
Uh-huh.
Well, it must come to under 60 quid because he said, what they do these days is he said they just both. He said, I'll bring the machine over and they both tap like half the cost of it.
Okay. Well, that's all right up to 60.
So the expression "going Dutch," right, has now been returned to the English lexicography.
Dutch, contactless Dutch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You see,
how did you deal with this terrible scenario then when this woman wanted to offer you money?
Well, she actually gave me £40 in cash, two £20 notes.
And you accepted it?
No, I said I'm not accepting. She said, in case I'm going home. So we came to a compromise. I took 20 and gave her 20 back.
Right.
And
so how is that any better?
Well, I will return the other £20 surreptitiously.
What do you mean?
Well, in a different way.
How?
I'll buy her a present or something.
You buy her a vase?
No, I won't buy a vase. No.
How much did the vase cost that you bought me for my wedding then?
I remember it exactly. It was $69.
Really?
Yes.
It's not very much.
Well, plus sales tax.
9%.
It could have been $169 on reflection.
It could have been.
Could have been, yeah. In fact, I think it probably was, actually.
Is there a picture of it anywhere?
Well, in those
nobody took a picture of us opening the presents.
No. In those days, you didn't have mobile phones with cameras.
No, but we had about 10 photographers at the wedding.
Well, probably one of them has got a picture of it, I would think. Yes. Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Right, 'cause I've never seen it.
Oh, right, OK.
Liz says, why do you all think that Mike Parry is wrong? He's utterly right.
Of course
Why don't you Google and you will find we are right and admit you are wrong?
Exactly.
I don't know. Very strange.
Well, of course I'm right. I mean, excuse me, I'm very aware of the Shakespearean expression, I fear he protesteth too much, okay? So I'm not protesting, because I know I'm,
Daniel says this.
In my inner self.
Porky admitted on this very show about a month ago that he never gave MG a wedding present. How does that possibly correct?
No, I didn't, no.
Okay.
I think sometimes people try to listen to what I'm saying.
And can't work it out.
No, they hear what they want to hear, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Dan in Newcastle says that you can't hear a tree fall when you're not there. Amazing, Porky. And I thought my double CD of Amazonian tree felling was broken.
Yes, well, no, you're absolutely right. Now, listen, talking about food and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Do your kids take pictures of the meals that you have at home and then send them to their friends?
No.
Why?
Why would they?
Well, apparently this is now the in thing.
Oh, yeah?
No, seriously. Now, maybe...
I take pictures of the food we eat at home sometimes.
I know,
and
put it on Twitter. That's absolutely right, yeah. So maybe it's an older thing, OK?
Maybe.
But the fact...
My kids aren't doing it anyway.
They're not doing it, OK. The fact is, what this has led to, and people sending pictures out of what they eat all over the place, particularly in restaurants and all that. So when they get home, when they want to take a picture of something they've cooked, do you know what's happened?
What?
They've all now gone out and bought very expensive crockery from a place called Denby.
Right.
Have you ever heard of Denby?
I've heard of Denby, yes.
I've got a full set of Denby in both my homes.
Have you?
Yes, full set.
How many? When you say a full set, how many pieces?
About 64.
What, each?
Yes, in each one.
That's 132-piece dinner set.
Yes, I have, yeah.
And when have you ever used it?
Well, no, they're two separate ones. One's in blue and white.
I understand that.
One's in blue and white, one's in black and white.
Yeah, but they're still 132 pieces.
Well, they're 64 pieces each, yeah, that's right.
128.
128, that's right, yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's an awful lot of crockery.
It is, yeah.
Well, have you ever used any of it?
Some of it.
When was the last time you had a dinner party?
I've never had a dinner party.
Well, what do you use it for then?
I use it for myself.
Well, so you use the
visiting people.
The 64-piece set.
Yes.
And you use, say, the bowl for your cornflakes.
Yes.
Why?
Well, because I like Denby and my mum bought it me. But the point is, people have gone out and start buying all this because when they're taking the selfies of the food they cook at home, they decided they've got to appear to be posh.
Oh, so they've got to put it on a decent plate.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
And no, the thing is, plates are out.
Yeah.
Plates are out. You put it all in bowls now. You put it in bowls to make it look more exotic.
Uh-huh.
Plates are now out with the inset.
Really?
Don't use plates to eat on anymore. It's all in bowls.
Bowls?
And they're Denby bowls, and they're very expensive. My Denby set costs...
Why wouldn't you have a Denby plate as well? Then?
Over £200. No, plates are out.
£200 not that much, is it? For 64 pieces?
I don't know. Only peasants eat off plates these days.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I eat off a plate.
Yeah.
And I'm not a peasant.
Yeah. I
have to say, that has got to be one of the best national anthems of all time.
Now, is that land of my fathers?
Yes.
So I told you.
It's a fantastic, it's just a very stirring song, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it gets me again, this thing about the Welsh language and all that. When I'm standing on the station platform Sunday morning, all the announcements are made in Welsh and they're made in English.
Yeah.
But nobody in Cardiff speaks Welsh.
Well, no, that's not true, actually.
Very few people do.
No, that's not true. No,
very
because,
few.
No, you're wrong. I'll tell you why you're wrong. Because the Welsh Language Act changed that. It was true to say that many years ago, but since the Welsh Language Act came in, they now teach Welsh at school. So,
Why?
in fact, I had a friend... Why? Because it's part of the Welsh Language Act.
But it's like teaching Latin in England.
No, you're wrong.
They used to speak Latin in England when the Romans were here. Nobody speaks it anymore.
You see, you are locked and trapped in a prison of your own making. It's very, very good. There's a very good reason to learn how to speak Welsh. Do you know why?
What?
Well, since you know everything, why don't you tell me why?
No, you're about to tell me, so I'm not going to steal your thunder.
Because, well, you can't ever steal my thunder. Well, the reason is that because there are two places you can get a job. The Welsh Assembly, right? Where everything is produced in Welsh and in English.
Yes.
Where everything is said in Welsh and in English.
Yes, that's a manufactured situation,
yes,
obviously.
Yes, it is, but still a good reason to learn to speak Welsh.
Yeah.
And also, you can work at the BBC, because BBC Wales has a massive operation, which is also... Yeah, you can say it's manufactured, but the point is two of the public sector sort of...
but they're public sector.
But that's the situation that they have rather...
It's ridiculous
they have very cleverly... actually recreated the Welsh language when it was probably about to die. And actually, one of the things that's lovely about going to Cardiff, and, you know, my daughter hadn't been there for many years, because I used to take her over there, as I said, to buy copies of the Welsh Mirror when I was in England, you know.
Yes.
And, you know, you arrive, you come down Castle Street, the castle's on your right-hand side, you look down Westgate Street, and you see all these Welsh flags, and you get to Wales, and you know you're in a different country.
Yeah,
and I think
it's great. That's great.
It's a bit like Scotland, you know, people are very proud of their country, and I think you shouldn't poo-poo it.
But we don't need the Welsh Assembly, because it's another tier of government.
Well, that's not true.
If you look at its track record, it's hopelessly inefficient. I don't know who's in charge of it, because I don't take an interest in Welsh politics, but it doesn't work. To the extent...
I don't think you can say that with any actual veracity.
Well, I read political reports all the time which say that the way that the health service in Wales is run is so poor.
Certainly, that's true.
They send.
Listen, I'm not going to defend any of it. All I'm saying is
they send people from Wales to England to make sure they get better treatment.
All I'm saying is, right, the fact is that they have by gerrymandering, if you like, the way that the Welsh language has now become part of Welsh culture again.
And
they've recreated it as a language, and they've recreated a job base for it.
And all it does is perpetuates overspending and crass inefficiency to pander to, I mean, you know, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, but crass inefficiency exists everywhere in this great UK of ours.
You know what'll happen next? Exactly the same scenario, exactly the same blueprint will happen in Cornwall when the Cornwall people start saying we want our own language and all that kind of, own our own country. Having said that, everybody I met in Wales over the weekend was a lovely person, smashing people, great people. But as usual, all the situations, they are what's the expression? Lions led by donkeys. That's what I think Wales is. I think the Welsh people are lions. I think the people who run Wales are donkeys.
Yeah, but I think the trouble is that, again, you're just trying to be populist and get people to go, populist. Oh, yeah, Porky's a great man, he hates all politicians, right?
No, I do.
As soon as you see a politician, you suck up to them. When I told you the other day that we've been invited to the House of Lords, you've seen your little eyes light up as if we could go there and become part of the establishment. You would love to be hanging around with MPs and politicians all the time.
I couldn't care less about them.
Yes, you could.
No.
Don't pretend that you're a man of the people. Anyway, let me read you some tweets.
Right, go on.
Apropos that.
Okay.
D says this, LSD distorts time perception and can even make you believe you're at work 3 hours early when you're actually in the pub.
No, I wasn't. I haven't been in the pub all day, honest to God.
Honest to God,
I have not. I've got to look after my voice at the moment, and alcohol is degenerative to the vocal cords, believe me.
OK, so here's one from Craig. He says, was the train conductor from Mumbai, or was that Porky's Welsh accent?
That was my Welsh. My Welsh boyo.
Roy says this, Porky's already lobbying for winners and losers. The seeker of truth and justice. Is he still seeking?
Hey?
Hashtag pathological liar.
Am I still seeking what?
Are you still seeking?
Oh, I see you mean truth and justice. Yes,
exactly.
Okay.
Chris says, by Google Maps, latitude London N51.5074.
Yeah.
Cardiff N514816. London is north of Cardiff by a small bit. Chris, you're a pedant.
Thank you.
You are a pedant.
Thank you.
No, he's a pedant. It is, and he's also from Washington, D.C.
Yeah, doesn't matter. He looked at the geographical figures to prove once again I'm right.
But generally speaking, when you go west, you don't say you're going up. You say you're going down.
I don't
like when I lived in the West Country, right?
Yes.
I went down to the West Country. I didn't go up to the West Country. And it wasn't a question of whether it was physically north or not. You go down because you're away from London.
Well, you may say it that way.
You go up to Birmingham.
I'm not sure I do. Now, I'll tell you something I need to talk to you about before we forget, OK?
Yeah, go on.
Our favourite newspaper, New Day, is no longer with us.
Yes, I'm so glad you reminded me. Yes, I'm so glad you reminded me, because when we were on last week, and we were unfortunate enough to witness the demise of, I would like to say a once great newspaper, but I can't bring myself quite to say that.
We witnessed the demise of a once rubbish newspaper which never got better.
Which lasted for 9 weeks. But you know what? Yeah. Actually, you're always accusing me of having no conscience. I had a tinge of conscience at the weekend.
Oh, right? What about?
Because a friend of mine who works at that paper had posted something on Facebook, and she was away for the weekend in France, and said, I suppose I'll have to come back on Monday and look for a new job. Yeah. Well, so, I mean, I suddenly thought to myself, because why are you laughing?
Say that because,
why are you laughing?
Well, because one of the things we did at the end of last week was an imitation of a Bonnie Tyler song, wasn't it? And that just reminded me of another Bonnie Tyler song for your friend.
What's that?
I was lost in France.
Yeah, well,
when I heard newspapers closing, I was lost.
That's very off the cuff and not bad, actually. Yeah, for anyone who hasn't heard it, by the way, and want to know about the Welsh knowledge of Porky, you've got to listen to the Welsh music quiz that he was giving. In fact, we might even play out the old the music quiz
I think we should
later on, because
it's a new audience.
There may be people who haven't heard it on the podcast. We were podcasting last week at the same time,
we were,
but some of the shows were a little bit shorter.
Do you think our current audience is way up on our relationship with the food critic, Jay Rayner?
He's not to be named.
Oh, is that
right? The man who must not be named has been replaced. The man who must not be named, who was formerly, of course, a member of the Beatles, has now been replaced by a new man who must not be named. But we'll catch up on that a bit later on.
Yes.
Because, in fact, I'll tell you what. In fact, we could do this now, I suppose, couldn't we? Do you know that when Hawksbee and Jacobs picked up their show again today?
Oh, yes.
Or earlier, yesterday,
fine show, that is.
They actually made a reference to it.
Oh.
Just to let you know that Craig Kent on the building site said, actually, the boys on the site with him all thought Andy's fact regarding the bag of sugar was interesting. They liked it. So you're alone on that one. They like the bag of sugar.
Because they're carrying cement and...
oh, dear. That's very smooth. Who's this? Jay Rayner.
Next time... So that extension you want doing, I think it's just gone up about 50 grand.
Let me just tell you, I'd never do a Jay Rayner on you.
Well, that's excellent.
That's Gareth A. Davis. I mean, this story has gone around the world, let me tell you.
So it might become now part of the sort of, what can I say, the TalkSport dictionary?
I think it might do, yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Well, one of the things that I saw tweeted over the weekend was one of our followers, a very loyal one, saying, in days and weeks to come, people will say, where were you when the two Mikes interviewed Jay Rayner?
That's right, yeah.
Or, as we now know him, the man who must not be named. But just to get back to the New Day... One of the things that we said we would do...
Is it the bibliography?
The listography.
Listography.
Which is the three favourite things. Now, I think what we should do is ask people to tweet in suggestions. Don't you?
Please, I do. That's a great idea.
Up until now, we've been looking at the New Day to get inspiration for things like... Unfortunately for them, when it was announced that the paper was shutting on Thursday, the listography was list three favourite things about your job, which was really, I thought, in bad taste.
Well, of course it is. The first one was, I haven't got one anymore from tomorrow. Second one, it didn't last long.
No.
And third one, will I get a reference?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, they've done things like list your three favourite books. So here's what we'll send you a little a little challenge. So tweet us at the two Mikes, please, with suggestions.
Yes.
And we're going to do this every night. For listography, it's called.
Yes, we are indeed.
Name your three favourite whatever it is, or just three things. I mean, some of them were very odd, weren't they? Like your three favourite birthdays, which we couldn't understand.
Just utterly bizarre.
So if you tweet us, and we'll come up with some ideas.
Indeed.
But the whole kind of man who must not be named thing has rumbled on in a way which none of us could have imagined. He gave an interview, to some Newbury radio station.
Yeah, apparently,
because he did a show there, and apparently he'd upset the people in Newbury some years ago. By describing them as very boring.
So he went back to pay penance, did he?
Well, he's doing a live show, like we are.
How many people attend his live show?
Not that many. Not that many. I mean, if you could be bothered to go and look, people have drawn my attention to some theatres that he's going to, which have sold no more than about 10 seats.
Oh, dear.
But I don't want to go on about him too much. But, he gave an interview where he basically said he'd had a pretty bad week on Twitter because an awful lot of our followers had monstered him.
That's right, yeah.
But, he had only himself to blame because his quote on Twitter after we interviewed him, which we did in a thoroughly professional manner, was to say, just been interviewed on TalkSport, I could hear the sound of knuckles dragging.
Yeah, I know, that's not very nice thing to say. He also sent a very, a very offensive note to our producer.
Yes.
Which was completely unwarranted. You know, when you start insulting people who are doing their finest at their job and doing it very well, but you think you're a bit of a superstar and you've got a bit of a name and your mother was a big star, you know, God rest her soul, in the newspaper business, I think you're a pathetic individual to... don't you?
I do, but I think we might. I mean, as I say, I don't want to keep
throwing your
going
weight around because you don't like the question. Some broadcasters asked you when you've agreed to go on the show.
Typical Guardian Easter.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So we've got lots of stories to talk to you about. Here's an interesting one from Scott, who says, when typing Rogerisation into Google Images, the 7th picture that comes up is the 2 mics.
No!
It's extraordinary, isn't
That's excellent. I like that. Yeah. Perhaps we'll get into the Oxford Dictionary of New Words or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
We've introduced some words, haven't we? Rogerisation, bladderisation... Legoverism. Plank, yeah, a few words like that. That's excellent. Listen, there's one of these features in one of the newspapers tomorrow which I utterly abhor and can't stand because it's been done a million times over the years. It's intrusive and utterly boring, and it is... reveal, asking the stars, reveal the first time you had sex, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you lost your virginity or not, who cares?
Well, they've made a feature out of it.
They've made a feature out of it. You know, they've got... What they've done is, obviously, they've picked through various interviews over the last 20 years or something, haven't they?
Is this one of the Red Tops that's done this?
No, it's not, actually. It's one of those, what you could call it's a tabloid-shaped newspaper, but some would call it a heavy paper, you know what I mean?
Right, okay.
But, so how was it for you the first time? No, who cares? I would never reveal that sort of information to anybody ever in my life.
Wouldn't you?
No,
There's no point in me asking you then.
Sorry?
There's no point in me
asking me whatsoever. Neither would you, I hope, because gentlemen don't, you know what I mean? It's one of those...
Well, I think it depends who asks you.
No, it's the unspoken thing. Right, now then...
We won't make it part of the Porky quiz on the live show then.
What?
We won't make it part of the Porky quiz on the live show.
No, definitely not. Now, listen, talking about things, right? Talking about things. Did you know that Peter Pan was, in fact, a nasty, vicious, hobgoblin-type creature?
Well, is he not a mythical creature?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying J.M. Barrie wrote about it, right?
Yes.
Now, only a few people...
Well, he invented him, really, didn't he?
Invented him. Only a few people have ever seen the original J.M. Barrie story. But one of the first people who ever saw the original J.M. Barrie story was... Walt Disney himself, because Walt, as he was then, was like the world's greatest ever...
Well, he hasn't exactly been, in the annals of history, been given a great sort of rep as a nice guy, has he, Walt Disney?
No, you're absolutely right. And in fact, wasn't that film written about how he tried to stitch up the woman who wrote... You remember he wanted the rights for the book too. What was it?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, anyway, we know.
The film that came out the last couple of years.
Film came out the last couple of years, which related to why he couldn't buy the rights to Brer Rabbit or something, wasn't it?
Was that Tom Hanks, was it in that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Tom Hanks. He played Walt Disney.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point of the story I'm making here is that Walt Disney was the first one to see the original book. He realised that, there wasn't an Amazon around in those days, so it wasn't easy. So he went and bought all the books in the area, in Hollywood, you see what I mean? Sent people out to all the bookshops and all the libraries to steal them from the libraries and all that kind of stuff, this Peter Pan book, so he could suppress it and then rewrote it himself as Peter Pan, the Boy of Eternal Life.
What, you mean so that he could make a cartoon out of it?
So he could make a film out of it.
Right.
Because what he thought, Disney is the land of dreams, the world of dreams, all that kind of stuff. Do you understand what I mean?
So you're saying that he didn't pay any money to J.M. Barrie for the rights to
I think he did. I think he did, but it was a J.M. Barrie estate then, you see, because J.M. Barrie had died.
Yeah.
So they weren't actually, spot on as to the wording of the book. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So the saccharine Disney version of Peter Pan, the adorable little imp with an ear-to-ear smile, is extremely misleading.
But is that the case, though, that perhaps J.M. Barrie didn't write it like that? Because, I mean, the whole Peter Pan thing is quite an interesting tale, isn't it?
No. J.M. Barrie wrote the Peter Pan as a nasty little hobgoblin who had, devil-like fairies as his assistants and all this kind of stuff. The sort of antithesis to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Who was kind of influencing these children to take them into this world of fantasy, which might not actually be good for them.
Well, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. The original Peter Pan was a mischievous, horrible, thieving little hobgoblin, right?
Right.
And when When Walt Disney got hold of a copy of the book and looked at this, he thought, that will disturb children. They won't be able to sleep after watching a film if I make this. We'll turn it round.
Yeah.
So he got rid of all the books, turned it on its head, and had it rewritten as Peter Pan, the Boy with Eternal Life.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, Peter Pan eventually became the hero of Michael Jackson, didn't he?
Well, certainly people used to think that,
Yes.
that he was Peter Pan-like, didn't
Yes,
they?
that's right, yeah, absolutely. Here are David Barry, who is the great-great-nephew, great-great-nephew of J.M. Barry.
Right.
Says it's a very, very impoverished version of the idea that J.M. Barry had. The real strength of Peter Pan is that it operates on so many levels, and there's a very dark side to Peter Pan. He's this completely egotistical, amoral, and brutal child. How about that? Isn't that incredible?
Well, I suppose, there's always more to these books than meets sides. Captain Hook was not a bad guy then. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, I think Captain Hook might have...
Peter Cook.
I was going to say Peter Cook then. Captain Hook might have been, an inserted sort of character in the film. But anyway, this great-great-nephew goes on. J.M. Barry had a clear idea of just how cruel children can be. Peter Pan embodies those characteristics, and it's important not to gloss them over. It's amazing.
Yeah. Did
Absolutely
you ever read
amazing.
Peter Pan as a child?
No, did you?
I think I did, yeah.
I read The Water Babies by Kingsley Amis.
The Water Babies?
Yeah,
What was that
fantastic.
about?
Well, do you know what? It really gripped my attention when I was about 4 years of age, or three, something like that, 3 or 4.
Uh-huh.
It was about little children who swam around in this beautiful ornamental pool at the bottom of somebody's garden, but they could all breathe underwater.
Yeah.
And I used to try it out in the bath, but of course didn't work. And it was a fantastical sort of world in which your only friends were goldfish and little dolphins and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I'm just reading about Peter Pan here. It sounds a bit like you. Peter is an exaggerated stereotype of a boastful and careless boy.
Boastful, careful.
He claims greatness. Yeah, he claims greatness even when such claims are questionable. Such as congratulating himself when Wendy reattaches his shadow.
Oh dear me!
In the play and book, Peter symbolises the selfishness of childhood and is portrayed as being forgetful and self-centred.
You see, now if you went out,
you actually could be. You could be
Peter Pan. But if you went out on the street and said to people, what's your image of Peter Pan? They'd all say, oh, beautiful child who lived forever, who cast spells to bring children happiness and wealth and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. What an amazing discovery. It's a good job I read my journals, isn't it?
It is just as well you read your journals as well. Yeah. Now, we've got lots of things to talk about coming up. We're going to be talking to our blogger, America blog, John Green, because it's amazing a new policy that's come out from the Trump headquarters.
Oh, yes, what's that?
They're now saying that basically they think they could win as many of the swing states as Hillary Clinton can.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So all these people have been saying for ages that, Trump can't actually get to the White House. Yeah. They're now starting to get a bit worried. Because
who was going to win the swing states then if Trump didn't?
Well, everybody assumed that Trump would never get anything outside of the kind of main Trump supporters.
Yeah, but hang on. We are still we're not into the election yet. We are into nominating a leader of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And as every other
candidate... he's more or less got that, hasn't he, now?
Well, every other candidate's pulled out. So who's going to get these swing states if he doesn't?
Well, what I'm saying is that, once he goes, then he has to go up against Hillary Clinton, though. At the moment, all he's had to do is go up against all these other sort of ne'er-do-wells.
Yes.
And basically, everyone keeps saying, well, he got the nomination, but he won't be able to beat Hillary Clinton in a race toe-to-toe.
Yes.
But they're now pretty much neck and neck.
Yes, that's right.
As well as being toe-to-toe.
It's very, very interesting.
So it's very interesting. Yeah. So all those people who can't imagine a world, we keep seeing people being interviewed going, I can't imagine a world with Donald Trump as president. You might have to start imagining it.
If he sticks to his word, it means that the new president of the United States of America will not allow the new mayor of London to enter America.
Yeah. Well, except he's already said that he would change his mind about that, hasn't he?
I'm not sure he has.
Yeah, Trump said he would make exceptions.
Yeah.
And then Sadiq Khan said, well, actually, it's not about me. It's about me and all my friends and all my family. So Sadiq Khan is now standing up and saying, I'm the proof that you can not hate people and still get elected.
Mr. Sadiq Khan, as Mayor of London, would not accept an exceptional rule for him.
No.
He would say, no, you're not letting me as an exceptional Muslim.
Yeah.
You either let Muslims in or you don't. Right. And if you don't, I'm not coming.
A couple of people are making a slight correction to your Water Baby story. It's not Kingsley, it's Charles Kingsley.
Oh, Charles Kingsley, OK,
apparently.
yeah.
But it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, yeah.
You read any other Charles Kingsley books?
Yeah, but I got the plot right, didn't I?
I don't know.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
I don't know the plot, so you may well not have got it right.
Yeah,
we shall see.
As your TV reviewer, I can reveal there are no plans for a new series.
Yeah, no, but wasn't there a previous series?
Oh, hang on, wait a minute. It says here there might be a new series. What's the problem?
That music can denote only one thing, and it is, of course, time for Porky Vision, the greatest TV review you've ever heard.
Indeed.
Obviously, Mr. Parry slightly impaired tonight by his lurgy, but he will bravely fight on and hopefully get through it all the way to the end. So, what have you got for us this morning?
Now, there's an amazing show on at the moment. 2 episodes of 4 have been shown so far. It's called The Secret.
Oh yes, I've seen sort of trailers for it.
Yeah, well, I've seen it. It's based on a book written by a guy called Derek Henderson. Derek Henderson was my great colleague in Northern Ireland for 20 years.
Oh yeah,
he was the head of the PA operation there, the Press Association. He used to work on the Belfast newsletter.
Oh, okay.
Nobody knows Northern Ireland like Derek Henderson. Believe me, he knows everything. And this is based on a true story.
Oh, okay.
Now, what happens is it's an amazing story, incredible story. It's in Coleraine, okay?
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of happy clappers, literally. They're all Baptists, and they're all members of a Baptist church.
Yeah.
And it opens up with old James, what's his name? You know, the great Northern Ireland actor.
Yes.
James, you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, you know. It's,
the guy that was in Shameless.
Yeah, and he's had the hair transplant. No, he wasn't in Shameless. He was in... what was he in? He does all those adverts and things. You know.
James Nesbitt.
James Nesbitt, that's the guy,
Sure,
Manchester United fan. I don't know, yeah. But anyway, he opens up with him playing the guitar and all that, and he's a leading light of the Happy Clapper group at the Baptist Church. And they literally do, you know, have great nights in the church hall singing, you know, we love Jesus and Jesus loves us and all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
They take their kids out on trips to fields where they all sit and have open-air praying
Masses
sessions.
and all that,
Yeah, I mean, it's totally based on religion and goodness and the laws of the Ten Commandments and all that kind of stuff.
Well, on the trailers I've seen, there's a lot more sort of stuff going on than that, though.
Let me tell you, it's absolutely amazing. So what happens is, and this is where it's unbelievable because it's a true story, and Derek is the greatest journalist I've ever met.
Yes.
So he's got his facts completely right. They go on to a big swimming pool to take the children.
Right.
In the swimming pool, James Nesbitt only starts trying to teach the mother of one of the other children how to do the crawl, and his hands suddenly start moving towards the erogenous parts of her body.
The which?
You know, the erogenous zones. The erogenous zones, okay?
Yeah.
So
the erogenous zones are somewhere else.
Yeah. He suddenly says to her, you know, I'm having not innocent thoughts about you, Kathleen.
Yeah.
That's her name.
Kathleen.
Yeah, and she says, he may not be all that innocent after all, you know, James. I can't remember his name in the show, but, you know, I'll call him James, okay?
Yeah.
And you know, you see this...
she's married to somebody else.
She's married to a cop. She's married to a man who's portrayed as a boring member of the RUC, because this is all based in the 70s, okay? You know, a constable who's, you know, really not got a career. James, what's his name?
Nesbitt.
Nesbitt is a dentist, you know, with a highly successful practice.
Okay.
Anyway, he then goes off on a jog a week later and jogs to her house, knowing that the RUC cop is on night shift.
And is he an unhappy marriage or something?
You don't think he is, because he's got 4 kids at home, and it's all typical.
Just a mad Rogerizer.
Yeah, it's all typical Northern Ireland architecture. There's a lot of bungalows in Northern Ireland. I don't know why, but there are.
Like Scotland.
Yeah, that's right. Low level and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that sort of grey colour.
Yeah, grey colour, beautiful polished wood and all that kind of stuff, you know. And so he jogs over, and she sees him. She opens the sliding window, he comes in, and whoa, hey!
That's it.
We're into Rogerisation here of an extraordinary sort.
It's dangerous as well, isn't it, with the RUC guys hanging around?
Well, yeah, but he's off on the night shift, you know.
Well, yeah, but even so, if you ever found out, life is cheap.
But anyway, so they're lying in bed after the act has been committed, and, you know, she says...
Post-coitus.
Post-coitus. Oh, James, we are sinners. And he says, no, we're not. Did you enjoy that? Oh, yes, James. That was an act of beauty. That was a gift from God.
Sounds a bit like Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, and she says...
As it were.
Oh, yes, let's do it again. See, so they're back into it and all that kind of stuff, right?
So there's quite a lot of sex in this show.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, believe it or not, one of the characters that we've seen very early on is the pastor of the church, who is a typical, you know, maniac Irish religious nutter, you know, who sees ungodliness in a cheese sandwich, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And
so he's quite a hard line about it.
Oh, a very hard line. So this affair is going on, and then the pastor turns up at the dental practice, you know, and you know, James, I have come here to put to you There is an improper... This guy's got an English accent.
How does he know about it?
Well, nobody tells. Nobody tells. But it's a very close community, believe me.
So is this the secret, as it were?
This is the secret, yeah. So, well, I think it is. I don't know.
They don't keep it secret very long.
No, they didn't know. So he says, and he's got an English accent, he's, it has come to my attention, improper relationship between you and Kathleen.
Yeah.
And James Nesbitt says, I can promise you, Pastor, that has never happened. You have my word.
So he's lying as well.
He was lying. Stretched out his hand. And then he goes home and reads his Bible to find out which one of the commandments that he's and all that.
Right.
But Pastor's not happy. He goes and sees the wife of the cop. And she confesses.
Oh, dear.
So then Nesbitt is called to that house, and then the cop is informed, and then James Nesbitt has to apologise to the cop. I have sinned.
Shoot him.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah. Oh well, they're all forgiving. The cop, when James Nesbitt shakes hands and says,
cheek and all
that. I am a sinner.
Sorry, I Rogerised your wife.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I am a sinner. But the way they all think, all these happy clappers, is that poor guy's a sinner. I feel sorry for him. What was he sinning at?
Temptation.
He was leg-overing my wife, this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're happy clappers, so we're not so worried about it,
Right.
So anyway, so they say...
So this is just the first 2 episodes?
I haven't even got there yet, man.
Right.
I'm going to rush through this.
This is the first 1 episode.
This is only half. This is only half of the first episode.
Oh, okay, right.
But I've seen 2 so far.
Yeah.
So anyway, what happens then is, it's all back to normal, and the pastor, gets in the middle again.
So they give up on their Rogerisation spree.
Exactly. The pastor gets in the middle with the Bible, clutching the Bible. God will forgive us all. The Lord will look after us.
Yeah.
The Lord will see us on the straight and narrow. The Lord will keep us on the path. Not according to James Nesbitt. He goes out jogging again. Guess where he ends up?
Well, back at the same woman's house.
Hey, open the window, love, and back at it. Back at it. We are sinners. He says, but it's...
Do you think the husband might have been paying a bit more attention?
It's God's will. Well, you thought he might have been, but I think he's got the idea now.
Right.
So then everybody sort of knows it's still going on. So then this is where it's just become amazing. These God-fearing people. Yeah. They're walking on the beach, and James Nesbitt then comes up with the theory that we've made the lives of our spouses so miserable. I think there's only one thing we can honestly do to help them. And she says, what is that, James? I think we should commit them to God's kingdom for their own good.
So he wants to kill them?
Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah. So she says...
He's a right piece of work, this guy.
So instead of her saying, I'm horrified, she says, how would we do it?
Right.
And then it gets a bit ridiculous, actually, because you know how they do it?
Yeah, what?
What Nesbitt does then is...
I'm not sure you should give this bit away, though.
Oh, no, it's okay, don't worry, it's in the early series. What he does then is, he actually gasses his own wife in her own house by putting the pipe in the back of the car, leading it all the way through the house to the bedroom, right? Sticking it under her bed.
That's a long pipe.
It's a very long pipe, but she's become an alcoholic because she is so distraught at the marriage situation, right? So he waited till one night when she's absolutely bladdered on 2 bottles, and you suspect he's put a pill in her wine or something like, because he's a dentist, right? So he knows all about it, and then
he's not poisoner though, is he?
Well, no, but this is horrible. And he brings a pipe into the room, sticks it under her duvet.
How many kids are involved in this?
4 kids on his
where
side.
Are the kids?
Well, he's jammed up the doors of the bedrooms while he's killing his wife. Right, the kids' bedrooms, so they can't get out. Right. So then he literally puts the pipe under the duvet.
Yeah.
So even though she's drunk and drugged, she starts sort of waking up. Guess what? He gets the pillow, jumps on top of her, and kills her.
Deary me.
He then gets in the same car, drives round to the cop's house, where she has drugged her husband's dinner, so he's comatose.
With some pills that he's
given her.
And have they got kids as well?
They've got 2 kids.
Right.
Their rooms are jammed up.
Yeah.
He does the same to him, so he's killed him, puts him in the car. They then take the car to the garage of the father-in-law who's just died. They stick the car in the garage, they put the pipe into the engine, start it, and disappear. And guess what? The next day, cops come knocking on the doors saying, you won't believe it, your wife's killed herself. You won't believe it, your husband, not Colin, has killed himself. Right?
God.
So now, they've been cast out of the church, which is worse than,
cast out of Coleraine as well, I would have
cast out of their church. Well, yeah, so far, because we're waiting for the outcome of the inquest, we don't know if the coroner's going to return a verdict of suicide. But
or misadventure.
Because he's littered the car. in which they died with pictures of the family. And also, in her early days of drinking, she did try to do herself in with pills and bottle and left a suicide note.
Oh, dear.
So he's put the suicide note in the back of the car.
Same one.
I mean, talk about squaring the circle.
Yeah.
So now they're carrying the shame of having, fornicated and driven both their partners to killing themselves.
I'm not sure this guy feels any shame.
Well, he feels no shame. The man's a monster, an absolute monster. But he says, God will keep her safe and keep his eye on us. And all the time they're going off and doing a happy clapping. Oh, Jesus is the King.
But not anymore, presumably they'll be kicked out.
Jesus loves us, it's it for Jesus. Eh?
But presumably they'll be kicked out of that now.
Well, we don't know, you see, until the next episode. But I mean, it's an amazing programme of godliness
so
and
when's the
evil.
next episode on then? This week, presumably.
I think it's tonight. I think it's Thursday night.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so, I'll give you an update if you like. But I mean, it's an amazing programme, quite amazing, because of the devoutness that you come, and the evilness within it, the devoutness. I mean, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I've always said that behind these happy clappers are some very strange weirdos, you know?
Well, it is fictional, of course, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's a true story.
Oh, is it?
I keep trying to tell you. It is a very true story.
You don't think it's been adapted for television?
No, written by Derek Henderson. It's terrific stuff, believe me.
Okay. Well, that was
good,
Porky
wasn't
Vision.
it? That was good.
That was Porky Vision.
I say that was the best ever.
Well, it doesn't matter what you say. It matters what the people out there say, of course.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hoes. Yeah, but maybe.
A couple of comments on your Porky Vision.
Yes.
Michael says, that was actually very informative.
Yes. Well, what do you think it would be? It's called Porky Vision.
Well, I think that surprised him, though.
Yeah.
Steve says, does he know what the time is? Which I think was saying you might be going on too long. Kevin says, why is Mike Parry reviewing episode 1 of The Secret, which was 2 weeks ago? And also he says the affair is not the secret. Ooh.
Oh, right.
So maybe there's
well, I said to you I didn't know what the secret was, to be honest.
So maybe there is another secret that will become clear.
Yeah. Well, I've actually reviewed episodes 1 and 2 because all the killings took place in episode 2.
Yeah.
And it was chilling. I mean, what I'm saying is the amount of detail they went through. You know, can you imagine killing his own wife in his own house, having to put her in the car? How about this? Driving across Northern Ireland at a time when the Troubles were still on, and men were regularly stopped and had their cars searched, no matter who they were, right? You know,
that's in bandit country.
Exactly. Coleraine wasn't really bandit country, but anywhere in
but
Northern
if you
Ireland.
went towards the border or
sure,
anything like that.
Sure. And then to her house, and then killing her husband, and then putting him in the car. He's an RUC constable. And then driving again to what they did is they went to the father-in-law's house. He just died, but his house was still there. So they put it in his garage, the car, and kept the engine running and all that. Oh, found by the neighbours, they killed themselves and all that. The shame of the affairs that, their spouses had. It's an amazing story, amazing.
Sounds very much so. William says, that was a mesmerising review, Porky. Riveting, edge-of-the-seat stuff.
Thank you.
Danny says, first time in ages I'm enjoying Porky Vision.
Excellent.
Harry is back.
Yeah. What do you mean I'm back? I never went anywhere, pal.
Ben says, brilliant Porky Vision, Porky. Think you need a bigger slot.
Yeah, well, I'm just sort of topping and tailing it at the moment because of the appreciation that you've shown for it. Thank you very much indeed.
There's a few jokes about erogenous zones.
Yes.
But, I mean, it's a family show. I may not read too many of those out.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Becky says, great Porky Vision. The wonderful TV reviewer gave a rendition of regional dialects, not even a cough on the Irish accent.
Well, that's right, absolutely. Thank you very much indeed. I'm pretty good at my Irish accent.
Porky Vision is great, although impossible to follow.
No.
His mind gets a few hours off while he's at work.
No. Honestly, you can get through it all. Don't worry about that. Excellent.
Now, if you want to have any more healthy sort of advice that I can give you, I don't know if you saw this. You see the story that came out yesterday saying that eating fish fingers might actually be good for you.
Eating fish fingers is very good for you. I know that. I've been eating them for years.
But it says they could be the key to avoiding age-related memory loss.
Excellent. That's good.
Which is not good.
I'll start eating a few more.
Well, I think you should, because your memory isn't as good as it ought to be, in my view.
I think you'll find it is.
I mean, no, but you can recite the entire words and lyrics of Sylvia's mother, right? But don't do it again. But you can't remember what you did last week.
I can.
No, you can't, which is a very, very straightforward way of thinking that you might be getting there.
I was desperately ill in Cardiff, but I can still remember all that.
No, you can't. Eating fish fingers and tuna sandwiches just once a week staves off memory loss in later life,
I love a tuna sandwich as well.
Do you?
Yep, don't worry about that.
When was the last time you had any fish fingers?
I've got 2 packets in the freezer, which I've got to eat soon.
Why?
Well, I just feel like I should.
Oh, right. Well, if in the freezer, you don't have to eat them. You can just eat them whenever.
Can't leave them there forever.
It's not a good idea to leave things in the freezer for months and months on end. That's true.
No, I agree. Listen,
I've got some fish in the freezer I need to eat, actually.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Now, a beer a day could protect the heart, since you're on health things, OK?
A beer a day?
Yes. Doth it not show vilely in me? That's a Shakespeare quote from Henry IV.
What's that going to do with drinking beer?
Because it is about curbing cardiovascular disease.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, is beer bad for your heart or good?
Well, 1 beer a day. This is a new report from one of my medical journals.
What, a bottle of beer or a pint?
A pint. It's the Mediterranean Neurological Institute in Pozzilli, which is in Italy, concluded that both the alcohol and some of the other chemicals in beer had a range of beneficial effects. Most women could and should drink a small can of beer a day. Most men, a pint.
See, I wouldn't do that though, because I mean, if I go for a drink, you don't just have 1 pint and
leave,
do you?
Of course not. I would never go out and drink 1 pint.
No.
I'd either not go out, or I'd go out and drink 6 pints.
I mean, I haven't had a drink now since Sunday night.
I haven't had a drink since the end of the show in Cardiff. Right.
Yeah, so I mean,
Saturday.
I almost had a glass of wine last night with dinner, but I actually thought to myself,
why bother with 1 glass?
Yeah, but the thing is, if I'd opened it, I'd have drunk the whole bottle. But I thought to myself, I don't really want to do that, so I didn't have it.
I drink for the pleasant effect of intoxication.
Do you?
I don't drink because I think it tastes good. In fact, I don't actually like the taste of alcohol very much, but you soon lose the taste buds after you've had a few.
I'm not like that. I mean, I do quite like the taste of a glass of wine occasionally.
Do you know whose birthday we've got to celebrate yesterday?
Whose?
Eric Burden.
Eric Burden from the Animals?
Yeah.
How old is he?
75.
Now, he's one of those guys that if you said to me, is he still alive?
Yeah,
I would have
exactly.
said, actually, I'm not sure if he is.
No, I haven't heard about him for years. I mean, literally 10 years. But the reason I love him is when I was just post-student, when I was a trainee journo up in Newcastle, we used to go to what was then the Newcastle Polytechnic every Friday night because there were loads of women there, right, And as I was
You've always been informed by that kind of, need to do good in the world, haven't you?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't mean that at all.
Loads
of good-looking
But
women.
anyway, as I was a sort of hotshot local journalist on the local evening paper.
Is that what you used to say to the women?
Well, no, they used to say that.
Did you know that I was a hotshot local journalist?
No, that's the image they had of me, you know what I mean? I was a big shot.
But now that you're a more wise and older man, right?
Yes.
I mean, the idea of somebody impressing someone with the idea that they're a sort of hotshot local journalist, you'd laugh at that, wouldn't you?
Well, I suppose so, but I was only like 20 at the time, you know what I mean? And that's a good thing to be when you're 20, and we all use our strengths, don't we? But anyway, the point of the story is, I remember going up there because, it was a Friday night, and Eric Burden and the Animals, but not the original Animals, you know what I mean? It was like...
you mean, why? Because the original Animals weren't there?
They were all dead or something, you know what I mean?
Well, I suppose they'd moved around a bit.
Yeah, they did the House of the Rising Sun, didn't they?
They certainly did.
There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising. And that's the song.
You sound a lot better.
And, I'm trying.
Ever since I made the studio impossibly hot.
The point is, Eric's on the stage. He's not looking in that good shape, to be honest. Yeah. And I think, excuse me, he may have been ingesting something because he suddenly shouts out, OK, beer and acid will save the world! And then walked off the stage.
Beer and acid?
Yeah, that's right. That's what we saw of it.
OK. Well, he's now what, so 67?
No, he's 75 now.
75. Yeah. Well, he's done well.
Yeah, he's done well,
you have to say.
Beer and acid will save the world! That's what
it's not one of the great slogans, really, is it? We are the two Mikes.
Yeah.
Got a couple of tweets here for you.
Oh, yes.
Craig says, did Mike Parry get his faux Rolex at the same market he bought his faux leather handbag? Mm-hmm. Next one is, what happened to Porky's 1/3 of a heart? His quack's improved evaluation of his heart correlates with his increased hatred of nature, says FC.
No, I love nature. Everybody knows I love nature. I'm a nature fanatic.
You're a nature fanatic?
Yeah, I go walking on the North and South Downs.
Yeah. Becky says, welcome back, MG. Who's taking over in your place when you're off sick? #Porky cough.
Oh, dear.
And then she suggests Jay Rayner could do a show.
Oh, poor old Jay Rayner.
And then she also says, Porky's humble beginnings, not born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but definitely inserted in one of his orifices.
Oh, dear me. That is the sort of language I really do object to. If we can't have a frank and intelligent conversation, then please let's not bother, OK?
OK, then.
Now, I want to tell you about
See you later.
I want to tell you about something that I came across.
I've got a great story to tell you, though, first, if you don't mind.
Yes, please. Yes.
Because I saw this story, it was sent to me by somebody earlier on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
And what I did say, and you may have seen the way I retweeted it, was that it sounded very Porky-esque, right?
Yes.
As it seemed to me, this is the sort of thing you would do.
Right.
It's a story from the Coventry Telegraph.
Oh, I know the Coventry Tell, yeah.
About an unnamed solicitor who was up before the solicitors' sort of standards and practices crowd.
Yep.
Because the unnamed solicitor broke up with a woman he was seeing.
Yep.
But by doing, but the only way he could do it was by pretending he was dead.
Yeah. How did he pretend that?
Well, apparently he got one of his relatives to send the girlfriend a text message saying, "Terribly sorry, so and so won't be able to join you for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
He was unfortunately killed earlier in the day."
Good God.
Can you imagine?
That's terrible.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
But, you know, people sometimes don't have the kind of moral fortitude to just say to a woman...
Yeah, look, I'm sorry.
And I have to say, actually, you've done that in the past, so I'm not suggesting that you would have done it. But I mean, it's the sort of thing that you would do, I think, to sort of get out of a situation.
Derek Hudson did that, didn't he?
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah. We were down in the Caribbean somewhere following Dine Around or something like that, and he so hated working with Jean Rook, the late, great Jean Rook.
Yes.
Jean's not around, so it doesn't really matter.
Herself.
She's not, no.
Well, yeah, but her relatives may be.
I went to a funeral. Her son's still around because one of her proudest achievements, she was known as the First Lady of Fleet Street.
Yeah.
She was the only employee of any newspaper on Fleet Street, one down from the editor, who had a Jaguar car.
Yeah.
That was her company car.
Right.
Excuse me, it's pretty good.
God's sake.
But anyway, when she died, we all went to a funeral and we went back to her house.
Yeah.
And the first thing Sir Nick said when we walked in was, he said, "Oh, this is where all the expenses went," because it was magnificent. It was in a place called Knockholt.
Knockholt, yeah, I know.
Which is on the border between, like...
It's down the M25.
Yeah, that's
very
right.
close to Badger's Bottom, actually.
That's right, it is, yeah.
That's where my golf club was. You know, I told you I won a membership to a golf club.
Oh, yes.
That's where it was.
Oh, OK, there you go. And anyway, when we walked in, and, I mean, she had this huge ambition to get her son into RADA, which is the, Royal Amnesty Dramatic, or what, isn't it?
RADA.
Yeah, Royal
Academy of...
Royal Academy, that's
Dramatic
it.
Arts,
Dramatic Art, that's right, yeah. And that's where people like Cumberbatch go and all that lot, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Eddie Newton.
All those lovely people.
No, not
Eddie Newton.
Is it? Who's the guy with the red hair?
You mean all these lovely people that go to Eton?
Yeah. What's
top
Eddie?
Stars.
Who's the Eddie guy?
Eddie Redmayne.
Redmayne, he's the guy, yeah.
Where'd you get Newton from?
Well, Eddie Newton is assistant coach at Chelsea.
Did he go to Eton?
No, he didn't.
Is he an actor?
No, he wasn't. No,
he just happens to have the same name.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, his first name's Eddie.
Yeah.
And anyway, we walked in, and there were these all the walls on like everywhere. The room, the stairs.
Yeah.
There were 3 flights of stairs and all that. Were all adorned with these incredible antique showbiz prints. You know what I mean? Like for shows. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, Funny Girl, which is the one Sheridan's Smith at the moment. This is her house. Yeah. And she must spend tens of thousands on it.
But she was a superstar of those days.
Oh, she was a complete superstar, yeah.
I mean, if she was there, if she was a columnist now,
yes,
she'd have her own TV show, probably.
That's right.
I mean, that kind of station, right?
But anyway, she was a bit hard to work with. And we were down, I don't know where it was, Grenada or Barbados or somewhere like that. And all of a sudden, Derek came into the dining room weeping and said he had terrible news. His girlfriend had been fatally injured in a road accident back up in New York.
Yeah.
Nobody knew he had a girlfriend in New York. Those girlfriend was in England.
Yeah.
And, it was terrible. And she only had a house to live. So
she'd been fatally injured. She would be dead already.
Well, yeah, but I mean, critically injured, I suppose, is the word. So she said, "Oh, of course, you must go back." She then started sending flowers to an imaginary hospital that didn't exist, because he invented this ridiculous story. And
that's what this guy did.
Yeah, and then she found out eventually that he'd complained she was too difficult to work with, too demanding, kept him waiting around too long, didn't like the pictures when he'd taken them and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So he just pulled out.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, it is
How could anybody do that?
Well, this guy was reported to the Solicitors Regulation Authority
I'm not surprised.
by the mother of the woman because she only found out that he hadn't died because she pressed the relative who had texted her to say, well, I'd obviously want to go to the funeral.
Yes.
And so they kind of reluctantly had to come up with some details of a non-existent funeral.
Yeah.
And when she went to go to the funeral, she realised there was no funeral.
No, exactly.
Because he was still alive.
Exactly.
But apparently, the SRA said they couldn't take any action against the solicitor regarding the allegation because... Basically, they didn't really have anything that covered it.
Well, no crime's been committed, has it?
No, but I mean, you wouldn't want a solicitor with that kind of moral turpitude, would you?
best, he's told a lie. And solicitors who tell lies shouldn't be trusted. If you can't trust a solicitor, then you wouldn't use a solicitor, would you?
So you'd think that the professional body overseeing their behaviour would have done something other than go, well, there's nothing we can do about it.
Do you know what I think that is?
What?
I think that's a classic one of us.
What?
I think it's a classic you scratch my back.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
I thought you were suggesting that it was like something to do with us.
No. He's a solicitor and he's been examined by a solicitor's body.
What you mean is...
What are they going to say?
What you mean is they're looking after their own. That would be a better way to say it.
Looking after their own.